The following content contains adult language and humor that is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Screw you guys! I'm not a
The
kid.
views and opinions expressed during the following video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others. Thank you.
Puck Tuck is where it's at, baby.
On screen, sir.
You still remember, Admiral. I cannot help but be touched. I, of course, remember you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to this edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk, along with Baron Orban Tag, Cash Money 007, and our special guest, the Nerdporeal Lifeform. I'm your host, Mike, and today we are speaking with the Nerdporeal Lifeform. We're doing a little catching up with the first inaugural guest of Pacific414 Pop Talk, that is, back on August 3rd, 2021. Was the first inaugural edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk, where this gentleman joined me to talk a little Star Trek, a little Orville, and that was shortly after Tuesday Night Trek, which was originally with the Nerdporeal Lifeform, Paul of Now Phantomology. At the time, it was the Star Wars guys, and Brandon the Anime Guy, who Baron, Cash, and myself were a guest of yesterday.
He's
See
right.
how it all ties together.
We're incestuous.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. Oh, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yes. But today we're just going to sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation with a great friend of the channel, a great friend in general, Brian, the Nerdporeal Lifeform. How you been, brother?
Doing okay. Been a little slow on my channel. I haven't done a whole lot of stuff the last couple months. Starting a job. The only thing I really did was cover the show House of the Dragon. So just like a typical after show, watch it Sunday night, and then half an hour after I finish it, I start the stream, have a few people on, we talk about it, and wow. I'll leave that for later. Let's just say season 2 suffers a lot of the same stuff that a lot of current shows suffer when it comes to having decent first seasons or good or strong first seasons, and then the quality just plummets when season 2 happens. And this is no exception.
Do you think, I just wanted to ask you this, Brian, do you think that people are right about that they just don't have money to do these action sequences? I've been starting to see some reviews of the second season of House of the Dragon, and I know people are saying that, other people are saying, I guess, including my brother, that they're building up all this drama, and then in the third season there's going to be all this action. So, but I heard that Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't have much money right now, and so they can't do these cool action sequences. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was interesting to hear or read.
It's probably true, but a lot of the issues is in the writing. Like the writing, like what you watch House of the Dragon and then watch another HBO show. Watch original Game of Thrones season 1. Watch Rome. Watch The Wire, The Sopranos.
Right.
It feels like you're watching actors basically reading a script or reciting a script, as opposed to, actually, being in the role. being in the role and acting, and us as the viewer being able to successfully, disengage our disbelief, basically.
Okay.
I mean, you watch Rome, you watch,
Mhm.
Ciaran Hinds is Caesar, and the other dude is Pompey, and they're acting within their interest. They're acting like the dialogue doesn't feel forced; it feels like
No,
it's
it doesn't.
natural. So, I
Agreed.
mean, and that's the issue that House of Dragon is. There's all these characters who I don't even remember their names. I don't know, like they're just kind of there. It feels like they're stock characters just to give our main characters like something to do. They tell them something, and our main characters have to act on it in a stupid way. And then they make the same mistakes every episode. Like the whole idea of the character arc is almost non-existent. If I were them, they should have done 2 seasons of House of the Dragon, directly adapted Fire and Blood, which is right there, and just do what George Lucas did with the Clone Wars. Just show all the important events.
Interesting.
Don't have this stupid ongoing narrative that you're trying to fill in when it's not there. So the reason why Game of Thrones worked is because it's got a narrative from Song of Ice and Fire. The House of Dragon does not. The writers have to fill that in themselves. I would just showed events, maybe add some dialogue, have cool moments, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, do they get any input from George R.R. Martin, not Tolkien?
Season one, he was the co-creator, him and Ryan Condal, and then you had Miguel Sapochnik as the co-showrunner. He ended up leaving because his wife was a producer or something, and there was, I don't know if it was a conflict of interest issue or something, but he left. And Sapochnik, for all of, love him or hate him, I mean, he directed some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones. Like, he directed Hardhome. Hardhome's the one where, the Night King goes like this, and then, they lose everybody on that encampment. You had the Battle of the Bastards, which I thought was excellent. And then you had the episode after the Battle of the Bastards, the Winds of Winter, this one where Cersei's evil plan comes to fruition, everything goes her way, and let's just say like half the cast is killed off in that episode, and other things got wrapped up in that episode. I thought it was really cool. It was probably the last episode I was really like, ooh, this is awesome. And then the season 7 and 8 happened, and 7 was okay. 8 was, well, let's just say I've learned to appreciate season 8 after the current fantasy that's been coming out within the last couple of years. Like Rings of Power and Wheel of Time, for instance. 2 of the worst things I've ever seen.
But are you hearing that from other fans then too as well for this second season of House of the Dragon?
I was just
fans about this.
I was just watching Are you familiar with the channel Talking Thrones?
No.
No, I don't.
He's a bigger channel that talks mainly about Game of Thrones related news and stuff. He was talking about that yesterday, and I didn't even know. See, I didn't really do any research. I just reacted to the season. So I just heard the same thing, that it was originally supposed to be 10 episodes. Then he had the writer's strike that happened 6 months that forced them to cut the last 2 episodes. But even if that was the case, and they had the Battle of the Gull in episode 9, and then episode 10 would be the Fall of King's Landing, which is what he said, what a lot of people are saying. That one, I don't think that would have saved this. I mean, that might have made the season a little bit better, but I don't think it would have saved the season. We had some very dismal episodes. Like they didn't do a good. They didn't write them well. Even the whole things even the blood and cheese thing which happened at the end of episode 1, which is awful, but they didn't set it up well. It just kind of happened, and it doesn't make sense for the character to do that. You have to build on that. You have to make it make sense. I mean, and that's the problem with these writers, is that they don't try to make things make sense. Well, I mean, that's a difference between you had Melinda Snodgrass years ago writing The Measure of a Man, TNG, versus now where you had,
great episode. Yeah.
Women can write.
Of
like
course,
you had DC Fontana. I mean, but the thing is, I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's a very small amount that actually can do that. And I don't want to sound sexist or anything, but when you have a writer's room they hire based on the fair sex. I mean, you have to look at their qualifications too.
Of course,
you can't
just
do
like
that. You can't do that 3-letter thing that I don't want to make this thing political if I say those 3 letters, you know.
Go ahead. We've gotten a little political lately
Go
here on
ahead,
Pop
man. It's not a
Talk, so go
problem.
ahead.
Well, actually, there's two
If
two
you-
acronyms.
if you
There's
don't
there's
want to,
ESG, and there's
that's
DEI.
fine.
Oh yeah, it's fine,
Yeah.
man. I mean,
I
that's
mean,
unfortunately a thing. So yeah, go ahead and bring it up. I
They
mean,
sound good on the surface. I mean,
Right.
who doesn't want to be included? You know, but
Right.
that's not how you. That's not how
no.
you don't hire for that. You hire for skill. You hire
Right,
for
well-
for how good they sell themselves. How good their skill is. You know, if they're good, you keep them. If you don't,
Yeah.
you get rid of them. I mean, that's how it is.
Well,
Well, look
Well,
at the
that-
dragon lady in Game of Thrones. I mean, the way that it feels like they made her misunderstood instead of being this character. This is one of the characters I always focus on in Game of Thrones. Like, oh, well, she's vicious, she's this, and then I felt like, I don't like how this played out. And I know a lot of fans don't either. How the dragon lady turned out in the end.
Which one? Rhaenyra?
the one that,
yes,
yeah, the
yes.
one that Jason Momoa, gave in the, yeah, and that's why Cash was watching it quite,
Right.
frame by frame.
I don't know, well, did you see the finale? Did you know that character that you just mentioned or referenced is in the episode? You see her. You don't see the actress, but you see the character as the way she ended season 1 when she's nude and she has the little baby dragons on her shoulders and all that. They actually showed that in Matt Smith's vision. So Damon, for half the season, is stuck in Harrenhal. And he's having nightmares, and that's all. And nothing. Like he does nothing this season, like at all. Like season 1, he was doing stuff. Everybody loved him to the point where the writers were like, "Why does everybody love him? We got to change that." And so then they made him less.
That's terrible.
I don't know.
Well,
and I had Miss Martin Muses on. I haven't read Fire and Blood. I'm probably going to read it pretty soon. But she was the one that kind of was kind of the lore expert on my streams, and she said that Damon leads by example, and they all come together to Damon in the Riverlands, and then there's battles that we should have seen that they had off screen. I mean, they complain about money, but they had $100 million, and they had 2 years. They had 2 years of production.
Wow.
2 years. What were they doing? There's more feelings and corridors. That's all it was. Like there was no substance to what was in the dialogue and the writing. That's another issue.
Well, that's what you were saying about before. And again, this is not a swipe at female writers or anything, because there are many great ones out there. We've listed a couple of them. Anne Crispin is another one who's great, obviously in more novels than anything. Vonda McIntyre. I mean, the list goes on, right? But these are ones that are trying to prove themselves as writers, as someone who is producing and storytelling, not trying to go out there and trying to impress us with being, look at me, I'm a woman. Anything a man can do, I can do better. Yeah. Which, of course, always falls flat in this face. You're proving yourself, not your gender. You're proving your talent. And we don't have that no more. And I want to see hungry talent, not hungry validation, you might say. Yeah. Another one thing I want to sit back and say is, Mike, you knew we were going to be talking about the Game of Thrones and all that. You took my floppy wieners away.
I was testing a few things last night, so I had to make room.
I mean, what we're also seeing, Brian, is that a lot of these female characters could be so better. Well, they just could be better because we've seen female characters written very well before, even when you go back to characters like Xena compared to where we are now. Just so much depth to the character, and now we're not getting that thing you're seeing in video games. You're seeing it in TV shows, especially the new stuff.
And here's another thing. I mean, like with female characters, there's a possibility to become even more invested in them because of the fact that, remember, there were female. I mean, women are. I hate to bring this up, but women are not nearly as physically imposing as men are. So when they're dealing with male antagonists and all that, you are more terrified. You are more terrified for them. You are more scared for them. You are, in other words, I'm more invested. I mean, I'm more invested in them getting out of it and hoping to see them win. There's some stakes involved, and it gets. And I don't know. For me, it gets me more interested. It gets me keep following the character. I mean, Ripley, Alien Ripley. You had Alien.
Fantastic.
Everybody does the Ripley and Sarah Connor thing, obviously. Sarah Connor, was originally just a waitress in the first movie.
Right.
And then she goes from being a waitress to being a scared scream queen because, let's be honest, the first Terminator movie is a slasher.
Yeah.
The first Terminator movie is a slasher. And then at the end of the movie, when Kyle Reese is injured, come on, Michael Biehn, badass Michael Biehn, it's like, get up, soldier, get up. And then he's like, yeah. And then, they're trying to get to the automation plant, and then he dies, throwing the grenade and all that. But she changes. And that's what we want. We want to see. What's the point of the story? The point of the story is to follow these characters and see how they change throughout. Yeah, that's one of many reasons to follow the story, but that is a big thing.
And that's one thing we got to see with Major Kira on Deep Space Nine, considering the way she and Cisco were introduced to each other to the way they end up at the end of the series.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of growth, a lot of change.
She becomes a colonel in season 7. Yeah, it took 6 years, but she finally got that colonelship.
She got something Harry Kim never got, a promotion.
Yeah, well, Harry Kim. Well, the thing is, Harry Kim was annoying half the time. I still enjoy Harry Kim versus the insufferable characters in almost all of New Trek, basically. I'm saying New Trek. That includes season 3 of Picard.
Ooh, Picard.
The show that everybody liked, and that's something that me and Prophet have had several conversations about. We're just like, why people have been putting everything else down, but for some reason when it came to this, they decided not to. And the problems were still there. It was slightly better, but the problems were still there. Star Trek is an identity crisis, as Robert Meyer Burnett himself has put it. And he's the one that's been championing. He was the one championing that.
Yeah, you invited me onto your channel after the finale aired, and I went on a rant.
Yeah. So what made it disappointing was not so much Rob, but it was other people that said it was good. The big one for me was Dave Cullen. Dave Cullen, I don't know if you follow him.
Yeah, I do.
Irish guy. I found him because he was one of the few commentators that would talk about Deep Space Nine episodes, Voyager episodes. He's a big Voyager fan. Heck, when the whole Summer of Love happened, he talked about the episode Living Witness. And I thought wow, this is cathartic hearing him talk about that while all this shit's going on. So hearing him say that season 3 was something special after seeing, the first 6 episodes early got me excited. And then I was first episode, I was like, okay, I'm liking how this looks. It's a little weak. I'm like, and Prophet was just watching it because he's just, we're buddies and all that. But he's super analytical. So he saw things wrong right away. I was like, well, let's just see how it is. Episode 2 happened, and they pulled a lot of the same stuff that they did in other seasons of television. I knew right away this wasn't going to be great because they decided to make episode 2 a filler episode.
Well, I'm not a fan, man, of this whole thing about any characters, especially ones that we've enjoyed, either Picard or other characters, just being treated like garbage. And then him accepting it. I don't appreciate that for any character, what they've done with Master Chief and so on. It's just outrageous. And then the actors go out, well, you're just going to have to accept it. No, we don't. Shut up.
I agree.
Well, first of all, Brian, I just want to sit back and say, hide your seals because Snortopupus is in the house. Snortopupusqbar.com. But going back to what you were saying about women and them being interesting protagonists in stories, whether it's TV, movies, whatever, novels. What I think is challenging for writing a woman in a lot of these things is just like you were saying, they don't necessarily have that physical presence, but they have that aura about them. In other words, you have to write them well because sometimes they're really good with the tongue. And I'm not talking about a certain vice president. I'm talking for the fact that look at Leia, how she took care of Han Solo.
Right,
in
exactly.
The jibes back and forth. You get more of that intellectual banter and give and take. And you can't go in there with the "I am woman, hear me roar" attitude, because that just turns your character turns a woman to just a snotty. It's like, I don't care about it.
Let me make another Star Trek reference. Shelby, Best of Both Worlds, Part 1 and 2.
I hate what they did to her. Reopening old wounds, Mike. They just murdered her. She just had a speech, and they just murdered her, and then nothing. They didn't say anything after that. It's like, how do you have a series where you have these characters and then there's very little consequence? That's another issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they should have called it Star Trek Kill 'Em All.
I'm so sorry.
This whole thing from what's happening.
What is this?
In Star Wars, Star Trek, all these different properties, it doesn't matter what it's happened in Marvel. All these women are one-dimensional. They're screaming, or they're this. Even if
it's not just the women, Cash. It's all the characters.
I know, but I was just specifying the women right now because
there's one. There's one exception, though. There's one exception. Strange New Worlds. I'll say this: Nurse Chapel is hot. That's it.
So
that's the only. I mean, I won't watch it, but like I'll look at. I don't know. That's her only redeeming thing. Like, they hired a really hot actress to play Nurse Chapel. So sorry, I just had to say it.
It's all right. It's all right. It's no different than what Baron might say.
Oh, I see it worse. Boobies. Oh, you know what's kind of interesting? Even though I've never seen an episode, I never cared to see an episode of boring old worlds. But isn't it funny that you got two characters on that show, two different characters that was played by the same woman? Number one in Nurse Chapel.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Now they have a show where both characters are featured but have different actresses. Rebecca Romaine plays number one. Mm-hmm. And I don't think she's too bad. I think she nails down number one pretty well. And I can't think of the girl's name. She's just hot. but then again, Nurse Chapel is just Nurse Chapel. So yeah. I mean, Nurse Chapel's just, I love you, Mr. Spock. Doctor, that's not all we're gonna do. Yes, it is, Miss Chapel. Or go out and I'll find another nurse. That's basically, Dr. McCoy is toxic. What can I say? He's a toxic man. What can I say?
That's what I like about him.
As early as her first appearance, believe it or not, Naked Time. Yeah, because they're operating on Joey, the guy that didn't follow safety precautions when they go down to the Psi 2000 planet, and he gets hit by this liquid alcohol that just makes you lose all your inhibition, basically. And he's just like, we shouldn't be out here. And then he just tries to end himself with a butter knife, and
Wow.
Remember, folks, use protection when you're out there.
Yeah, and the reason why he dies is because he didn't want to live, according to Dr. McCoy. They tried to operate, or they tried to save him, and he was still dying, even though the wound was superficial. So
he went the way of Padme. Okay.
Well, Padme had broken. Well, I guess Joey's heart was broken too. He was heartbroken that humanity had the nerve to go out into space where they shouldn't belong. That could drive a man. That could break a man's heart too.
Exactly. We should be underground with the rest of the lizard people down there. We should know our places.
I didn't think we'd go there,
because the chemicals in the water are turning the freaking Gorn gay.
You got to keep this in mind. Got to keep this in mind, Brian. When it comes to Baron, he's willing to go anywhere, even if he doesn't let me know he's going to go there.
I keep everybody on their toes. That's what it's that way. But really, I think that, like you were saying, though, the writing and even the men. I mean, look at the witty banter that even Harrison Ford had in Han Solo, and some of the others. I mean. You need those great foils, but it takes talent, and these people don't have a talent for that do these writing. Don't. It's just, I'm going to go out there and express my feelings, and I'm going to go out there and lecture, and they're going to sit back and try to tell you their life story and how this is important. It's like no. Write a story, real interesting characters.
Well, it's funny too because like you go back even to like the 80s, you go even gaming, and you see like dialogue, and the king says something to the this woman, and she goes, "Shut up! Like, what's your problem?" Like, it's just funny, but they don't want to write that kind of stuff usually these days because that's offensive.
It's problematic.
It's really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, always
it's problematic. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's why I ended up finding myself checked out on most shows now. I watch like a couple episodes. And I'm like, this doesn't interest me. I don't really relate to it. I don't really follow it. It doesn't move me. And that's just and then I just kind of move on to something else. So for me, I moved on to been playing Elden Ring the last few months. So
yeah, I can understand
recently, Cash and I watched Cape Crusader.
We did.
And we went in there with, at least for myself, medium expectations, especially with Bruce Timm being attached.
Right.
And after all was said and done, found the series mediocre.
This is Batman. I'm taking it.
Yes.
Animated.
Yes, the new animated series.
And I have not kept up with. There's like isn't there like a billion animated shows of Batman? Like the only one I can remember is the Batman the animated series from 1992.
Oh, it's classic. Man. Yeah.
I mean, I know they did a few others later, like Batman Beyond, and
Beyond was really good too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have not. I like you go on Max. You go to their DC stuff, and it's just like lists and lists and lists, like just so many things. I found something that I actually decided to watch. It was the Killing Joke, which is I think was who did that? Alan Moore did that.
Alan Moore did the comic. And Brian Boland did the artwork.
So I was like, okay, I've heard of because I had friends that have actually read that. And I've heard about all the stuff that happens, like a certain Robin gets killed and a certain Batgirl, gets wounded or something, and is confined to a wheelchair, which is why she looks the way she does in Arkham Asylum and everything. The game, so
well, actually,
it was a weird ending. It was a weird ending, though. But yeah.
Well, actually, Robin died in Death to the Family. He was killed basically by Joker.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it was a different storyline. Oddly enough, the Killing Joke was not even supposed to be officially part of the Batverse. It was like the Dark Knight Returns. It was kind of its own entity, but it got incorporated in. It's like, okay, we're going to take this with Batgirl and turn it into Oracle and such. But the animated one, I'm sorry, I had so much hope for it. But yeah, especially that first half that made no freaking sense at all, except the fact that she got to bounce on Batman.
Yeah, the reason why I love Batman, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan, but when I was a kid, I really enjoyed Batman because of its rogues gallery, and just like all the different colorful themed, villains, or if you go back to the old Adam West show, the special guest villains that a lot of big name actors wanted to be part of. Who doesn't want to have a breath of fresh air and play a villain with an evil laugh and all that, who doesn't? It's a lot I mean, I'll be honest, like all those actors that play villains must have like one of the funnest times ever.
I mean, think of Burgess Meredith as the Penguin or Cesar Romero as the Joker. I mean, you could tell they were having fun.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yeah, he refused. He refused to shave his mustache, so they put all the makeup over the mustache, and that's his signature look. That's Cesar Romero's signature look.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then you had freaking. I think what's funny is I think Frank Gorshin's Riddler laughed more, or chuckled more than Cesar Romero's Joker. If you really think about it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And then you had the three Catwomen. You had one for the movie, Lee Merriweather. Then you had Julie Newmar, and then you had I think Eartha Kitt was the final season.
Yeah.
So
and you had two Riddlers because just like you said before, but also John Astin played him once.
Was it okay? So was he only in like in one episode, or did he just did he take over the role? Did he take over the role because the Frank Gorshin wasn't available?
I think something like that. Maybe I can't remember, but it was like it was just like for one story because they're always two parters. It's like tune in next time, same bat channel.
Yeah, it was so funny because I recognized him when I bought the I forget when I got the Let That Be Your Last Battlefield tape episode, VHS episode. I recognized like first in the trivia facts, I was like, oh, this is the guy that played the Riddler, Frank Gorsha, and all that. I was like, no shit, really. So I thought, and then so after that, I mean, that's kind of why I remembered that episode pretty well. And then of course, you had the political the political messaging about, well, maybe not even political, it's just a message about hatred, moral message about just perpetual hatred, especially over the course of that show's episode, or in that show's case, thousands of years, because that's how old those two characters are. They've been fighting each other for thousands of years, or Lokai's been fleeing Beale for thousands of years or something. It was something like that. So I don't know. It was a chilling ending, and of course, that's the episode that all the weirdos point to say that Star Trek was always woke. Have you ever followed that argument? The whole Star Trek was always woke, especially on social media.
Yeah, which is lies. It's like they can only point to one episode, and actually, to tell you the truth, that's why I always consider that episode being slightly less, because it's a more heavy-handed episode. But yet, all the turnip brains always come running over there saying it's like one of the greatest ever. It's like, no. It's way too heavy-handed. Far too heavy-handed. This was your Star Trek wrapping a velvet glove around a brick and bashing you with it. And for me, that episode never worked because of that. It was when they're more sly, unique, and able to make things more understanding in that way that Star Trek always excelled. But okay, we're going to take one episode. Oh, yeah, one episode and boom. It's always been that way. And when we talk about perpetual hatred, by the way, I just got one thing to say. Fuck you, Mark Hamill. Back to you, Brian.
I did respond to one of his political things. I was just like, because he had the nerve to say that a certain side is the party of hatred and division. I'm like, dude, that's your side. At least own it. And I called him Jake. I called him Jake because
Jake Skywalker.
Yeah, so I was just like, own it. I was just like, own it. Just own it. Just
that's how I felt about it. That's how I felt about George Lopez too. I'm like, all right, George, you want to keep opening up your mouth, and now you recently opened up your mouth on The View. All right, so I got something to tell you too, man.
Well, I mean, Batman is a fascist.
Right.
That's the only thing I think of now when I hear George Lopez.
Yeah,
right.
Batman is a fascist. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean all vigilantes are fascists now? I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with, the production of the movie Dirty Harry, but or the release and the reception of Dirty Harry, but like you had freaking Roger Ebert and heck, I think even Pauline Kael, both leftists, one's from Chicago, one's from New York, part of the New Yorker, and they both said the same thing, that Dirty Harry is a fascist, basically, judge, jury, and executioner. I mean, I don't know if that makes him. I don't know if that genuinely makes him a bundle of sticks, but I guess that does. He's a bundle of sticks, and if you don't know what a bundle of sticks is, it's a fascist.
There is something I did want to ask you, Brian, and it was actually something that came out last week out of the Las Vegas Star Trek convention, which you attended in 2021. And that was Scott Grimes saying that supposedly we are getting the season 4 of The Orville, and it's supposed to start production in January. Have you heard about that?
I have, and until I hear something official, I cannot take it seriously. Why like Hulu should just say, hey, we have renewed the season. So I don't know why they're silent about it. I mean, so the fact that Scott Grimes is saying this, I mean, he probably thinks it. I don't think he's lying, but I don't know if he knows everything.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe he's friends with Seth MacFarlane. Maybe Seth MacFarlane told him, but not even Seth MacFarlane said anything. It's Scott Grimes.
No.
Scott Grimes is just an actor. No offense, Scott, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, you're just an actor. Get out there and act.
I mean, I love Scott Grimes and Band of Brothers. I thought he was great in Band of Brothers.
Yeah, he was. He's a fantastic actor, but
Mhm.
you know, even Tom Constantino hasn't said anything about the season 4.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest. After what they did with season 3, I'm not excited for season 4. I mean, I don't know if I've told you guys how I felt about the third season of the Orville. I didn't like the direction they took. Basically, I don't like the fact that they made the existential threat the sympathetic character, and the ones that were ideologically different yet biological were ultimately the enemies again. So they undid what they did in season 2 with
You know,
with getting rid of the Krill as the good guys again. And then they had the nerve to do that whole thing referencing a certain populist candidate, and then and then they had the nerve to go with you know, the thing that happens to the divisive thing that happens with babies. You're
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
The reason why Star Trek worked and was able to get conservatives on board was because there was a lot of stuff in Star Trek. There was a lot of moral stuff. It was not just political. It was not just political. It was not just you know. It's not just when people. I hate when Star Trek fans have the nerve to say that it's if that it's a purely leftist progressive show. No, it reached everybody. If anything, it was a humanistic. It was a humanistic show. Most of all, it was moralistic. And just there were places. I mean, I'll be honest. The Outcast and TNG was kind of broke a little bit of a barrier, and it's very. Let's just say that episode's very relevant because I mean the whole concept of pronouns kind of. I don't know if it came from that episode, but I mean, that episode came out in 1991, I think, and they're talking about pronouns back then with trans characters or something like that. So, but now they're trying to go all in and everything else. Like it's not a platform for leftist ideology. It's a sci-fi adventure show. That's what it is. I mean, the reason why Roddenberry created it in the first place was because I think he wanted to give more black actors and actors of, you know, various, you know, the non-white actors a shot and everything. Give them unique roles, which worked, which succeeded. But he still made it as a space adventure, and it was now it's a terrible thing to see Star Trek the way we used to see it. You know, colorblind. Now that's considered me abusing my my privilege.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and even going through your list, I'm reminded how I didn't really care for morality paradox when we were talking about it on the after show for the Orville, and also gently falling rain. That was another episode I had a problem with for season 3 of the Orville.
Which one was that? I forgot what the name.
Gently falling rain was when we find out that Ed and the Krill woman had a baby, Anaya, and then he learns how they basically have abortion.
Oh yeah, I thought what they showed was brilliant. See, it was brilliant, but not. It was just not what they were intending. It was another. It was another thing where they thought they were spreading this message, but they ended up showing the opposite. Like I thought, you know, having the kid, having them have to face their decision making, and having the kid, or how the kid would have looked, you know, years down the line. So what did I do wrong? I thought was brilliant. Honestly, I don't know how you felt about it, how you guys felt about that, but and then McFarlane, or what's his name, Ed, is like, how would you want to live in a world like this? I'm like, I would want to live in a world like this. It's called accountability.
Well, that was one of the episodes I felt when, you know, they were bringing up the abortion issue. That was one of the episodes I felt, as you had mentioned earlier, was a little heavy-handed on the subject.
Absolutely. And that's something I mean, I'm with, you know, Baron, I am with you. Now that I think about it, I still love the episode, but there were moments where I thought I felt taken out of the episode. Like all of a sudden, Scotty says they are disgusting, which doesn't sound like like you shouldn't even really be speaking like that out of turn, especially when you're in a naval situation, you're in a militaristic naval situation, especially to your commanding officer.
Yeah, that's something Scotty should address privately with his commanding
Right.
officer.
Yes, and then he interrupts Spock when Spock tries to say, you're pushing it. He's like, no, Mr. Spock, discussing exactly what I described, those two. I mean, as much as the viewer will probably agree with them, it's still it's still, you have to understand, it's still not in their place to make that type of judgment, because you don't know the full context of what's going on. And that's kind of that's the problem with a lot of people, is people think they know better. And there's this epidemic of self-righteousness. And that's why I am very particular about who I associate with on social media. And I there are so many times where I look at political posts on X. I was looking at some today, or I look on some Star Trek posts, and I get this very cringe. Takes. I really want to like respond to them. And sometimes I just don't, because I just want to, I want to keep myself clear of all that as much as I can.
Yeah, you want to keep your sanity. You don't always want to get involved in all the drama that goes on with, not just pop culture, but political drama too.
Yeah, I mean, I the closest thing I got to being crazy on social media, or being, almost being almost what do you call it, infamous, was when, like I said, when Picard season 3 was happening. I felt like I was on a crusade. I had to tell people why this series is not good. Whereas I feel like even people that, you and I and all of us have probably listened to, bigger channels who are defending it. And I had to say, no, this is not good. This is not, Star Trek is not back, people. I mean, is it better? Yeah, but you're that's a very, 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 very low point. And it got to a point where I got into a spat with the production designer of season 3 of Picard, and then I got dogpiled and everything. So yeah, I am a drama channel. I talk about other YouTubers. I just follow the algorithm. That's all that I do. Pops. That's all. I love Pops, by the way. How you doing? Definitely watch his Star Trek the original series reviews that he's been doing. He's up. I think he's up to your favorite episode, Mike. Tomorrow's Yesterday. I don't think he's Return of the Archons would be next. I told him to do the production order instead of
because
airing order.
Tomorrow's Yesterday and Return of the Archons should have aired back to back, as they were intended to be part 1 of a story and part 2 of a story.
Really, Return of the Archons? I didn't know that.
No.
I always knew about the Tomorrow's Yesterday following up the Naked Time.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. My bad, Brian.
All right. Okay. No, that's fine. I was like, oh,
is
there something I don't know? I mean, there's a lot.
No.
Baron could verify.
Mike gets a yellow card for that.
All right, nice.
But yeah, you're exactly across the point. There's no reason why we have to defend ourselves in this fashion, because we point out that the Emperor, or in this case, the starship, has no warp drive.
Yeah.
I mean, when they have that weak argument back, but then they don't ever want to hear what you're saying on the retort back. And they can only put one thing and off of one thing. See, we won the argument. Yeah, and it's the pigeon knocking the pieces of the chessboard over, shitting on the board and flying off, thinking they won the argument. Yeah. And that's exactly the mentality that we have. And I don't even call them fans. I call them trendies, because they really aren't fans, many of these. They're just following the trend. And when that trend is over, well, Disney, Paramount, BBC, all these people are going to lose. Well, they already are losing their viewership, because the trend is starting to get stale. But then they've alienated us so much that we don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Let it burn.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, but sometimes I consider it part of growing up. Like, you grow up and you read scripture, you're not the same as when you were a kid. You put aside those things that you used to like as a kid, and you
Mm-hmm.
become man, and then you move forward basically, and that's kind of how I'm seeing this now. There are things that I will not let go, and that's of course early Trek, and I love how Pops brings up Return of the Archons is a tough one for him to get into. Return of the Archons is one of the relevant ones because of let's just say a certain thing happened in 2020, especially like I said, Summer of Love and all that, and rioting and looting, and that's exactly what happens that's exactly what happens in Return of the Archons. The people are literally brainwashed to the point where they do not think for themselves. They are literally NPCs, and when they get a firmware update, then is when they'll do something different, like when the computer when the Landru computer tells them, oh, Kirk and the party are threats. They're the Archons. They come. All of a sudden, everybody is like a zombie, picks up their weapons and goes after them slowly, like Michael Myers. And then you had then of course when the system like restarts itself, reboots. That's when everybody gets out of control and they start going festival and all that. Pops, Pops, you're gonna love how this episode ends because it just takes a certain swagger of William Shatner to basically tell a computer to go F itself. I'll say that.
Well,
yeah, and Pops here is saying, people calling Deadpool and Wolverine a 9 or a 10. It's just the shining thing of the moment. As I've said here since I've seen the movie, and I've seen it twice, the movie's a 7.5, maybe an 8 at best. But it's not the greatest Marvel movie I've ever seen. No. And in no way, shape, or form is the MCU back.
It's not. And
Disney Marvel's back, though. There we go. Yeah.
It's a fun movie, and it's definitely, to me, still better than Guardians of the Galaxy 3 overall. But the thing is that there are still problems with it. And I feel like when you're talking to people and they are like, oh, I'm so excited. And it's like you say, man, that scene with Sabretooth could have really been good. It's like, yeah, but they can do something now with the multiverse. And I'm like, these people and their multiverse shit all the time.
Yeah, that never goes well. I mean, they don't know how to write universes and multiverses and all that. I did not see. So I went to a wedding and I got to meet up with one of the White Cloaks. He got married, Alex. And I got to meet up with Prophet of the Dragon again. So I actually missed out. Like, he went to go see Wolverine and Deadpool that weekend. I fell asleep in my hotel room. That's why I didn't go. But he was telling me how he felt, and he basically told me all the spoilers, so I know who appears and all that.
Oh, okay.
And he's everybody knows Prophet's very over analytical, like, of everything. So so him saying that he liked it kind of was like, okay. I was like, how come you like it? He's like, it's because it's not meant to be taken seriously. So all the inconsistencies and all that, it's basically a comedy, and that's not what I focused on. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So
it's just since you haven't watched it yet, okay, but you're gonna watch it soon, or?
Yeah, I probably will. I mean, based on what he said and based on what I know, I kind of want to see how it all plays out, and hopefully I'll laugh at the jokes. I laughed at Deadpool too when he recruits all these people and then they all die.
Yeah, except one. Yeah, I know. Except Domino.
Well,
I think
I like that humor. Like, heck, I think what it was Deadpool 2. They had the teaser trailer. So like a woman's getting mugged. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll save you," and then he tries to change into his outfit in the telephone booth, and then it's taking him forever because of the lack of space in there. And then by the time he gets out, she's dead.
Yeah, I know.
Who does that? That's funny.
It was funny.
Deadpool does.
But I will say this: I think you will like 3 better. I think you'll like Deadpool Wolverine better than 2 overall. I think so. I think you'll get more enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I heard a certain guy. I heard a certain guy named Wesley makes an appearance as it comes back in his iconic, probably his most iconic role.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And now, I mean, kind of going back to what you and Pops were saying on something there, and like you were saying the summer of love of 2020, and he's saying the election of 24. That's the amazing thing that good, and especially the original Star Trek had, besides the fact it was written in what you would call that classic English, where they weren't using the phraseologies, the slang, all that. They kept everything to, you can watch it now, you can watch it 20 years later, you can watch it 60 years later, you can understand what they're saying. And if they did throw in jargon, like when you had your space hippies, everybody was confused, including the crew of the Enterprise. Like, what the hell are they saying?
You're
This
a Herbert.
timeless.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Baron is a Herbert.
I am, exactly. But that also goes with the stories. That's why I'm saying why Let This Be Your Last Battlefield, I feel, is far too heavy-handed, because it's timeless what they're saying about it, because the problems are and going to exist. And you can take these like any proverb or any parable or any fable, anything that they would do to try to show humanity and what humanity is about, what they can do, what's possible for them. And it resonates across there, which they can't do now because they're too self-centered now, instead of overall.
Yes.
And that's why the old Star Trek and even Next Generation and all the way up to Enterprise, the last of the of good Star Trek, or real Star Trek, I should say.
Just Star Trek. I mean,
well,
that stuff afterwards doesn't count.
That's why
it's calling itself Star Trek, but it's not.
Characters like Shaw in season 3 of Picard, as I like to always call it. It's just like he's just pretty much an asshole, and it's like, okay,
he's a dipshit from Chicago.
Yes, yeah, right.
Yeah,
and it's like, where is more of the emotion of the character? And then throwing in any show like Star Trek where it's like fucking shit and fucking shit and fuck. It's like, yeah, but see, it's a mature show, so we get to throw in fucking shit and fuck. Isn't that edgy? At least that's the way it feels. Exactly, Brian. Why? And yet people still defend that. They still make the argument, oh, well, you're clueless, you don't understand. It's like, what is there to understand?
When I first heard that in Star Trek Discovery season 1 with, I'm sure you all know this is pretty fucking cool. It is fucking cool. I was like, why did they do that? Why did they do it? Why did we have to see? Why did we have to see that? Why did we have to see an Orion dude's green ass in the Star Trek Discovery? Like what? Like why did they go there? I mean,
why did we have to see?
Why did we have to?
Sex?
Why did we have to exactly? Why did we have to see a Klingon baby head? Why did we have to see? Why did we have to see Icheb's eye? Well, fake Icheb. As far as I'm concerned, Icheb is still alive, and he's a captain of a ship in real Star Trek canon. Sorry, not sorry. Seeing fake Icheb's eye getting ripped out of his socket as he is screaming in Picard season 1, and then what does Seven of Nine do in the 25th century? I think it's the 25th century. She just kills him. It's like, kill me. I'm like, grow a new eye. Do what the Orville does. Have him grow a new eye. Put an ocular implant like Geordi or something. What the? What is this?
What they did to Seven of Nine doesn't make sense.
That's not.
It doesn't make sense.
That's right. Jerry Ryan playing Jerry Ryan.
Yeah, right. It's just like she wouldn't have a girlfriend. I'm sorry. Where was it that she became a lesbian? It just makes no sense. It's like,
I want to get on to a point that Brian just made. It was Jerry Ryan being Jerry Ryan. That's right, because she couldn't even find her acting ability where she was when she played 7 and 9. She said she forgot how to play 7 and 9.
I heard there were a lot of issues. I mean, I don't know as much about Voyager's production. Like, is it true? Like, I did buy the documentary that they've been teasing the last couple of years. I actually purchased it. I'm waiting for it to come out. I don't know the production, but I heard that her and Kate Mulgrew had like a lot of problems. Like,
I've heard that too.
That's what I heard. I think she was jealous of Jerry Ryan, because I guess Jerry Ryan was brought in for sex appeal.
Yeah.
Right. And really, it is hard to get excited over a midland-looking woman who sounds like a Muppet. That's supposed to encourage you to go into the far beyond. Okay, everybody. You know, I can't do a Muppet. Hey ho, everybody! Let's go into the future. You know, I don't know. But you know, she sounded like a fucking Muppet. Okay.
I like Kate Mulgrew. I think Kate Mulgrew's really. I think she's really attractive. I mean, she was definitely hot in Throw Mama from the Train. You know.
Oh, that's
when
right.
the Dave pushes her off the boat.
Oh my gosh, that's
that
right.
one. But she like I think she had a commanding presence in Voyager. I mean, do you I do agree that her character probably needed the most work though, because she was inconsistent. Like she'd be self-righteous one minute, then she'd be batshit crazy the other minute. I liked it when she was batshit crazy, especially in the Equinox two-parter when she's going after John Savage's Captain Ransom character. I was like, bro, bring more of this. I want a batshit crazy Captain Janeway. You know.
Well, it's just she had look. I like Janeway still. I understand the complaints about her, but she just had more of a personality. Look, once again, you go back to, can we please? You guys keep talking about all these either minority characters or women characters. You can't just make them super strong and expect people not to be like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, where is the tragedy? Where is the building? We need that, and we need more of that. And these writers need to understand that.
There needs to be some semblance of relatability.
Yes.
I mean, we have to. That's the only way for us to be invested and to care about these characters. If we don't care about the characters, then your story falls apart.
Well, think about this too. At one point, it was a fling between Janeway and Chakotay.
Yes.
Then later on, as the show goes, especially in the 7th season, all of a sudden it's Chakotay and 7 and 9 out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that's why she was mad.
That's probably
it's like where's this coming from? There was no build up. There was no episode where they expressed genuine feelings for one another. It just happens right out of the blue.
And I believe that's pretty much. I don't know if it was that the storyline's reason for keeping both of those characters out of the finale. Like they were barely in the finale. Both Beltran and Ryan were barely in the finale, the Endgame episode. I've watched Deep Space Nine and Voyager back to back, and Voyager I have a lot more nostalgia for because I watched it as it came out, especially from season 3 onward. But watching Deep Space Nine, which I watched exclusively on video, I bought the DVDs when they came out. Watching them back to back, finished Voyager, or finished Deep Space Nine and finished Voyager. I can tell you without any doubt that Deep Space Nine is the better show, the better written show, the better finale, in every way possible. Like the characters, I care way more about in that show than I did Voyager. I like Voyager. The finale needed work. Like they needed another episode or two to truly wrap up.
And I'll even go this far. I think Deep Space Nine is better than Next Generation.
And as a whole, yes. In terms of its overarching arc.
Yeah.
Show wrong.
When
I agree.
You look at the entire picture of Deep Space Nine compared to Next Generation. Yes, we wouldn't have Deep Space Nine without Next Generation, but as a whole, from season 1 all the way to season 7, that show had not just its main cast grow and change for the better in some cases, but it had its supporting cast do the same.
Yes, and we cared about that supporting cast. You had, Elam Garrick. You had Ram and Nog. You had who else was there?
Quark, even Quark.
Well, Quark's part of the main cast.
Even Quark had his ability to help other characters like the Grand Nagus.
Oh yeah, the Grand Nagus, Gul Dukat, Damar, Wayun, the female shapeshifter. The female shapeshifter, greater than by a billion than Vadic from Picard season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, like everyone's praising this character. I'm like, you know what? She's bad, but she didn't really stand out.
And
And they made her. They should not have made her a shapeshifter. Like they didn't
No.
even understand the rules of shapeshifting. Like they would have killed Beverly Crusher. Why would they go after Beverly Crusher with weapons? That was just the first episode. I rewatched it, learning that they were shapeshifters. That's why they do the stupid mystery box thing, keeping you in the dark, because that way you don't have that way you don't criticize them right away when they make this decision. They go forward with it. They're like, oh, we forgot about this. Well, let's not reveal who they are right away.
And
so,
we
didn't know they were shapeshifters. We thought they were just another alien race at first.
And we've seen examples of where shapeshifters will kill.
Yeah, I mean, they could just turn into a puddle. They can just turn into a puddle, and we know that they can do that because in episode 7, she escaped them by turning into a puddle and going up the shaft, like Ambassador Krajewski and the adversary. And that's the episode I always look to show, hey, this is how hard it is to kill one of these guys. These are not the shapeshifters. The founders of the Dominion are not what do you call it? Cannon fodder. They are hard to kill. They are always 10 steps ahead of you.
They're the bosses.
And they are the bosses, and they are dangerous. Like they are more dangerous than Odo.
I was going to say they have more skill than Odo, and even in the opening scene for Way of the Warrior, you see Kira and Cisco going after Odo for training.
Yeah,
and they're having a hard time. Yeah.
And he still got away. He's like, you got to do better because my people are going to be even 10 times better than me. So, and that's what made it great, because that was great setup right there. Because when you get to a scene where you see fake Chief O'Brien say, hey, he's like this, he's just acting weird and all that. He sits next to I think it was the Homecoming episode. He's talking to Cisco. He's like, don't do anything or I'll kill you. And he will, just turn your arm into a tentacle, that you're dead. He's like, but hey, it's not us. We're not the ones doing all this. And then of course you find out that it's that one admiral who commits a coup, or attempts to commit a coup and all that is actually causing all the issues and the paranoia on Earth. I thought that was a great example.
What I found chilling about that interaction between the shapeshifter O'Brien and Cisco was when the shapeshifter is asking Cisco, how many of us do you think are actually here on Earth?
Yes. Yeah. Great stuff. I loved how they did that whole body snatcher type of paranoia, 70s type of paranoia with that. I thought that was brilliant. And I don't think we ever really answered that question in the show.
No.
And I'm okay with that. But all of a sudden, but then they cast aside in Picard there's they were just buffoons of the Borg Queen, and they didn't even have the nerve to explicitly state that they were the buffoons of the Borg Queen. Like how did that happen? How does the Borg Queen have control, is able to torture a shapeshifter? Like I don't see that. I don't see that. Like I could see the Borg. I mean, if you've ever watched what was his name, Lore Reloaded, he does a lot of lore videos and speculation. Like he's done Dominion versus Borg type of stuff and all that. I don't think I would consider them almost on a level playing field based on their tactics. I mean, the Borg have the superior technology and they can adapt, but the Dominion have they can reproduce really quickly. They can they are willing to destroy themselves.
Think about how quickly the Dominion was able to produce a new ship at their shipyards. Very quickly.
Yeah, and then they breed all their soldiers, they breed all their administrators, the Vorta. Everybody's bred except for the founders, obviously.
Well, yeah, and even then, Borg, I don't think, would fully understand what to do with a changeling. It's outside of their comprehension. They're so technologically minded and such. I mean, what do you do with a puddle of goo that can F you up?
You'd have to come up with a weapon or a way to somehow inject the nanoprobes into the liquid, basically.
Yeah, into their liquid form.
I don't think you can use your needle in your arm to do that. You have to come up with an alternative weapon.
And would nanoprobes even work? Because it's far different.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I think you would have to make a special type of nanoprobe. Just have Voyager's doctor come up with something like with species 8472.
Yeah,
just do that. You have to get the Voyager involved, because the Voyager knows everything. That's another issue with that show, is that they came up with solutions because nobody else did. So,
well, yeah. Also, who's to say that you have a shapeshifter against a Borg drone? The shapeshifter goes into the Borg drone system and fries the whole system.
yeah, that could happen, or they could just turn their arms into tentacles and from far away, and just take it, then dispatch them that way. I mean, I mean, if with all the rules in place, I would love to see like a person from in a good faith way try to portray that relationship, or that dichotomy, basically. I'd love to see it, but nowadays you can't expect it. I like how people think, oh, I have hope that they're going to do better. No, they're not going to do better. They're going to keep disregarding things, and they're going to make it easy for themselves to write stuff. And it's only people that are going to be hurt are the fans that do know about this stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's always defenders out there that think that, if I defend this, I will look good for, mommy and daddy Hollywood, basically. Right. And I'll look good for other fans, and maybe I'll be at the pinnacle. Maybe there'll be a power vacuum of fans, and I'll be at the top of this and everything. So,
well, it's the same, Brian, when they're like, oh, I can't stand this, and people message you. It's happened to me recently with Star Wars. I'm not going to say which show, but it's like, guys, once again, why are you surprised? That's what I keep telling them all the time, Brian. Why are you surprised by this? Why? Exactly. This is where it was before. It can get worse. It could get better, but it depends who's working on it. But you guys keep watching this stuff, and you want it for clicks and views. Fine, do what you want on your channel. But the thing is, you keep thinking that it's going to get better, or you want to change it. It's like, just let it burn. If it bothers you that much, just let it go. It's okay.
Yeah, I agree. Let it go. Just, I mean, Hollywood's not going to change. They've been doubling down for the last several years. They're not going to listen to you. They've already ridden you off. Like a certain political party has run off half of its population. Hollywood has ridden off older fans of shows, because it's an inconvenience to them. They're holding the stuff, and if they can get away with half the viewership, because nowadays I think they fudge the numbers in streaming. I mean, I'm going to be honest, streaming has done more harm than good. In terms of it's turned really great projects, really great works of art into content, into typical
not only that,
flop content.
You take each parts too. You take the art, you take the writing, you take the story, and they just keep. It's the narcissism, and I didn't think of this before, Brian, but I believe it's also these stupid fan fiction stuff. We're going to make this a reality now. And you're like, oh God.
By the way, did you see the, I cringed. Did you guys see the Section 31 trailer? They can't afford it.
That trailer is utter garbage.
I'm like, what is this? I watched Disprove's video because he covered that, and he covered what Section 31 is, and it made me want to rewatch. I watched a couple of Deep Space Nine episodes. I rewatched the episode Inquisition, where we meet Section 31. We meet Sloane for the first time, and I thought it was just brilliant writing. It was just brilliant ideas and all that. And Section 31 being there to they're there in the shadows to ward off any existential threat to what we hold dear. And it just brings up the question, like, are these people always a necessary evil with any power, with any power or political structure and all that? And I thought it was brilliant food for thought that I feel could be discussed, endlessly. It might even be a timeless thing. I don't even know. But I watched that, and of course, I had to watch the next one on the next one. The next episode was one I couldn't miss. It was In the Pale Moonlight, and as much as I love that episode, there is one criticism, and everybody says it's the best episode. It might be. There's one criticism I have, and it's not the episode's fault, but I feel they should have followed up on that episode, especially
They should have
towards the end in the final 10 episodes, where the Romulans get wind of this, and then it leads to the Romulans wanting Cisco, and of course they're not going to know about Garrick because Cisco takes full responsibility because he's the captain. But I think what would have happened was that there would have been a compromise, especially once the war ended, because of the fact that Cisco was instrumental in saving the Alpha Quadrant. I think he would have been forced to, and I'm also using Babylon 5 as a reference to my idea, because remember what happens at the end of season 4 of Babylon 5? Sheridan loses his command because of the stance he takes against Earth. I think Cisco would have, had they made an epilogue season, or maybe made more episodes, I could have seen Cisco lose his Starfleet. It would have been bittersweet. Like he would have, completed what he was set out to do, but he would have lost his Starfleet commission. And I don't know if he would have had to go to jail. I haven't really thought that far in, but I think he would have basically taken on, or heck, maybe his status as the emissary would have been called into question too, based on the stuff that he did in that episode. Him and Garrick did. So, and then Garrick Garrick no longer being, being the head of the new government. I don't know if he's the head of the new government. I don't remember what happens to Garrick. I know he's just no longer exiled at the end of the show. I don't know what would have happened to Garrick. I'm still thinking of that, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on my my idea, basically.
I think Cisco would have had to face some consequences for his actions.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether he did help the Alpha Quadrant win the war, he still has to pay a price for those who did lose their lives, because that's what the other side would demand.
Yeah, and the Romulans would want him for sure.
As long as Cisco lives, there will be no peace. To paraphrase a phrase from Star Trek 4.
Yep.
I don't know. I probably need to watch the rest of Deep Space Nine with you guys. I just I've never finished it, but I like some of the characters. Cisco, yeah.
Season I think season 6 is the pinnacle season of the show. I don't know if Mike or Baron, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think season 6 is the pinnacle.
I would say the end of season 5 going into season 6 starts at pinnacle.
Yes.
You start seeing where things are going, especially Call to Arms.
Yeah, Call to Arms was great. The 6-parter in the beginning of season 6 that ends with Sacrifice of Angels was brilliant. You had the episode with Ducat going insane. Him and Cisco are stuck on a plane. He goes insane. I thought that was brilliant.
He's a great character. Yeah.
Yes, he is. You had these 2 episodes that introduced, Section 31, and then you had In the Pale Moonlight, which I think just add to season 6's repertoire. And then you had, I don't know how you guys felt about the death of, spoiler alert, Jadzia at the end, while the Battle of Cardassia or the invasion of Cardassia was underway.
I think had Terry Farrell not asked to, be released from her contract, and also the contract negotiations going the way they did, I think what they could have done is they could have had Jadzia transferred to another ship.
Yes. I'm curious. Do you guys know the reason behind that? Was there like a lot of drama behind the scenes? Was she having issues with like Berman or Ira Stephen Burr or something?
I'd have to go back and watch What We Left Behind. Yeah. But there's part of that documentary where she does say, "You guys didn't even give me a chance."
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. Well, the problem I had with that, I'm sure you guys aren't going to know the problem I had with that documentary. That documentary was woke as shit.
Yeah, it was.
First thing that they had to say about Garrick, despite the fact that Garrick is one of the most nuanced characters in that show, one of the most interesting characters in that show, Garrick is gay. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, okay. I mean, very. I mean, what from the first episode that he appears because he has his hands on Dr. Bashir's shoulders. I mean, that was probably the only gay thing I saw from the character. Other than that, he was just the I don't know. He had a romantic interest with Tora Ziel, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
So I mean,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's okay. He's a tailor. I get it. Still,
he's a tailor who has a lot of information. People come to see him. People tell him a lot of things.
Yes.
Yeah. Plain simple, Garrick.
Plain simple, Garrick. Yeah. Plain simple. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like no, he's not gay.
And I asked Andrew Robinson about. He's like, oh, I think he dropped. He kind of said, oh, they kind of told me to say that. I kind of feel that. I just thought that way of the character. I was like, okay, fine, fair. So, but then, like they I didn't like the way they treated Marco Limo in that documentary. Like,
they treated him like crap.
Toxic male and all that. I mean, dude, the guy's close to 80 years old. Be a little bit more respectful. I mean, he's not a young man. He's the same age as Andrew Robinson. So show some respect. And I don't. It was just like, oh, the women are taking over. I'm like, oh, shut up. Like Nana, shut up. Just shut up. I like your character, even though your character can be insufferable at points, but just shut up. And I mean, I don't know what to say about Terry Farrell. I mean, as hot as she was and still is actually. I'm just really curious what made her want to quit after season 6. I think it's going to be interesting because I've heard I've heard other fans, people who love New Trek say have said, oh, the actors weren't treated well. So now the actors are treated well to the point where they can just basically do whatever they want. So they're willing to, come back in these roles and all that. Heck, I prefer the more tyrannical nature of Berman if we're going to get good stuff, because that's
yeah.
I'd rather have that, as terrible as that might sound.
Or most of it. I mean, take a look at Alfred Hitchcock. He was tyrannical, and look what the type of films he made.
Exactly.
He didn't view actors as people. He viewed them as props that you can move around to use.
Tarantino's the same way. I'm sure Sergio Leone. I'm sure all the great directors. Maybe Spielberg too. Lucas. Yeah, all of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Tarantino's got a pair of feet to suck on, he's happy.
Yeah, well, I heard like if you had a cell phone on the set of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he'd kick you out, or something. That's what I heard. So I was like, you know what? And I like Tarantino's no nonsense. Like, I've learned, like when you're faced with some stupid. I mean, Trump does this quite a bit, but like Tarantino is basically like, you ask him a stupid question about, this, and he's like, I reject your opinion. No. And I that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I like that. I like that approach. Like, he doesn't put up with it. He doesn't pander. And I'd rather have him stick to his guns.
Quentin Tarantino did, but he's better now. He did in 2020, but yeah, I think it was around there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did piss off. I remember one time he was on the Bill Maher show, and he did piss off a bunch of people for saying something about police brutality. I do remember that. This was probably before all that stuff happened in the Summer of Love and all that. So I don't know. This is kind of before I had my epiphany.
He had an epiphany.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that epiphany, which is your channel. You started it in February of 2021, and you've amassed over 4,000 subscribers since then. What are some of the greatest challenges for your channel? Some of the greatest accomplishments for your channel?
I mean, it's still a thing, and it's kind of been part of the reason why I haven't done nearly as much stuff. It's hard to retain viewership. I mean, there's so many YouTubers out there. There's so many people out, and we're all competing. We're all kind of competing against each other when we're all streaming at the same time. So, but I mean, hey, I have nothing but respect for that. But it's basically trying to. It's a learning process. Like, I want to better myself when it comes to particular takes on a videos or movies or video games, and just being able to comment on stuff. I mean, it's something like you would you would put a topic in front of me years ago. I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. But I've gotten better at breaking. It's been a process, but I've gotten better at breaking stuff down. Like even like watching, like I told you about. I usually would watch a Star Trek episode, be like, awesome, I love it. Now I watch an episode and I basically have to break it down in my head because it's habit now. And so even a brilliant episode like In the Pale Moonlight, I thought of things that could be better. And I mean, making videos I haven't made a video in 6 months. I haven't uploaded a video in 6 months. It's a lot of work editing stuff. And sometimes the ideas flow in, sometimes they just don't. And I haven't really, besides being busy with stuff, and I'm still not used to it. I have a nice big one desk now. I'm still not used to this. I'm still not used to this setup and doing stuff. Like I was so used to a smaller space when I was making videos. So
yeah.
Still kind of.
I'm not used to seeing you straight on, man. This was like.
Yeah. But it's also what I want to cover on, and like every channel has like the channel's known for this. Like there's a channel that does history, or there's a channel like Prophet of the Dragon. His channel is built on Wheel of responding or reacting to the Wheel of Time series and calling out the bull crap in that. So he has a good amount of followers. I feel like I'm still in a bit of an identity crisis myself. I'm trying to figure out what my channel is. Like I thought at first it was me just, telling people about older things that I think are good and all that. And I still kind of want to do it, but I don't think that should be the focus. So, and I don't really cover every TV show or other stuff like a lot of other channels do. And then, my friend Dred Roberts, he covers video game controversies basically. So like the whole Assassin's Creed Yasuke, I don't know if you guys have talked about that at all on Pop Talk.
We have.
Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, that was something that he talks about. He also talks about he talked about the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff. I'm sure you guys have also covered that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that type of stuff, which leads to a lot of growth because that's what people look for. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So it's still an ongoing thing. I mean, I still have video retrospectives that I teased at the end of other videos. So that's something I wanted to make my own shtick, was doing like a tease for my next project or something like that. I'm starting to understand why people don't do that.
Yeah, just like at the end of an episode of a TV show like Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that's exactly where I got the idea from. So I don't know if I'm going to still do that, but I do feel honor bound to complete those projects that I promised I would do. Maybe it's just the 2001: Space Odyssey movie. I just don't want to talk about it. It's such a long movie.
It's long, man.
It's a long movie with very little talk about, but there's a lot of stuff that happened in the background, and I'm just curious how I want to approach that. And then there's other things too. But yeah, that's always been a thing. I always wanted to increase engagement with others. So I'm very thankful that I'm very thankful that I found Nerdrotic's channel, and I got to meet a whole bunch of people through him, and got to meet people through other people and through other people, and then as a story, and it just kept going. And I mean, I haven't met nearly as many people in the last year, but I mean, the part of the reason why I do the Nerdporeal streams is because I want to have a one-on-one conversation, or maybe a one-on-two conversation if possible, with different people, and just have a good time. And
yeah, that's my same approach to having a guest on Pop Talk, is getting to know people maybe I don't get to talk to all that often, or never talk to at all, or maybe it's been a while since I've talked to someone like you. so we get to do a little catching up. And you mentioned erotic earlier, and that's where we first met.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, because I never thought I'd ever follow a channel and agree with it, or follow a channel as much as I did, because I mean, I was an adult. I mean, I'm probably the youngest. I'm the youngest guy here, but I was an adult when YouTube came out, and I'm seeing all the stuff that was popular on YouTube, and it's all cringe stuff that's made by people my age. That's very cringe, and I don't know. I could just tell fakeness right away. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the insane self-awareness is what happens when you get picked on and you get treated like crap by your peers, you know, when growing up and all that, and being ignored. Maybe that's where it came from. I don't know.
Well,
But
there's just a lot of clickbait out there, man. There just is.
yeah,
It's
like
unfortunate.
Well, I think it's because there are a bunch of trendies out there. It's like, oh, we're going to go to this flavor, and you got to be fake. There's nothing in it other than the fact that I get the viewership, and the new flavor is coming along, so I'm going to say au revoir to you nerds and go to this one. Suck it, you know. No, you got to have a passion if you're going to stay with it in these.
Yeah. And if you're going to talk about the same subject that 1,000 YouTubers have talked about, and I've talked about this already with some other friends, try to bring some kind of new information to the table.
Yes.
Because it's just going to be repeating the same stuff over and over and over and over again.
And that's the
Which
problem.
is something I've mentioned here on Pop Talk. I don't want to talk about the same topic everyone else is talking about, when I myself, Baron or Cash, can't bring anything new to the table.
I'm with you there. It's just like you're just repeating talking points, and that's the problem with people in discourse now. Is all people do are repeat talking points. Like they can't even debate properly. And I know I'm going again. I'm just still leaning into political stuff right here, but it's all right. True. It's true. I mean, obviously, everybody has a brain, whether, you know, you might have to point that out to some people, but everybody has a brain, and they have the capability of thinking for themselves. Everybody has the potential to think for themselves. So, I mean,
yeah, they do.
And bring your own, bring your own, you know, experiences, and that will help you, you know, bring something unique to the table. I mean, just think, if a certain talking point makes you think of something else, bring that up, you know, and that's what I do. Exactly. For me, I bring up Star Trek, even at random points when it's inappropriate to bring up Star Trek, and that's kind of what people know me for. Even Zax has made fun of me for, and you know what, I love that. So,
Zax.
Yeah,
that's something you and I have a lot in common. We do refer to Star Trek because you and I learned things from Star Trek.
Yeah, I learned how to. I learned about being open-minded from Star Trek. I've learned about, you know, the possibility that, you know, there are good people out there. I mean, Star Trek 3 taught me that. And I don't know how well I put it on Pops' stream when we were talking about the Genesis trilogy, but that's kind of why I think I got into it. Like, when I was a kid, Wrath of Khan was the first thing I saw. And Wrath of Khan, I mean, I was young. I didn't fully understand what was going on, and I didn't really understand the weight of it, even though I knew, you know, the character. The reason why I got interested, and the reason why I watched that, was because the fact that a good guy dies at the end. And as an 11-year-old, that blew my mind out, because I remember reading the VHS boxes and seeing that. It made me want to rent the movies, and so I rented them. And I was looking at like the original series. This is all the Suncoast Video. I don't know if you guys remember Suncoast Video.
Yeah,
of course.
It had and I've said this before. It had a Star Trek section. Like, there was a Star Trek section. There's a science fiction section. Excuse me. And there was a Star Trek section, and so it had like almost all the original series. It had all the movies. It had, I think, the first 5 or 6. This was 96, 97. I think it had the first 3 or 4 seasons of Next Generation, and then they started releasing Deep Space Nine, a whole bunch of stuff. So it was good. It was a good, you know, it was a good section that had a whole lot of content. Oh, the animated series too. They had the animated series, so there was a lot of Star Trek. There was First Contact posters were everywhere. Heck, I even saw some Generations posters. It was everywhere. And, you know, I consider, like, as a child, my biggest thing that I loved was cartoons and Nintendo. I like old cartoons. Like I used to watch Hanna-Barbera stuff. I used to watch old Disney. I used to own like the old Donald Duck VHSs. I had DuckTales. I had Mario Super Show. And I used to watch Hanna-Barbera stuff on USA growing up. The Smurfs was always on. Smurfs came out before I was born, but Smurfs was always on. Scooby-Doo was always on. So I saw like all the different versions of Scooby-Doo. There was Scooby-Dooby-Doo, Where Are You? That was the first one. And I think I forgot the second one. The 70s Scooby-Doo series was. And then going all the way up to them introducing Scrappy-Doo. Let me at him. You know, that's Scrappy-Doo.
Right.
Was he supposed to be like Joe Pesci or something? I don't know. Or
I don't know
who it was supposed to be, but I used to, that was the stuff of my childhood. But then when I became an adolescent, I kind of moved away from watching cartoons and I started getting into live action stuff. And Star Trek was pretty much that. There was that gateway for me. And so,
for me, it was watching Transformers, seeing Optimus Prime die, seeing a good guy die in the movie, but also at that same time, when I'm 7 years old, finding Star Trek, finding Tomorrow is Yesterday, and just being drawn to the characters.
Yeah, and I mean, there is no evidence of a Pacific 414. Pacific 414 has produced no significant advancement in our history. Oh wait, no, Pacific 414 did. Never mind. I was trying to recreate the scene where Spock is telling Captain Christopher, "Hey, you don't you don't contribute to this.
You don't contribute anything to this, but
Your
an
son
offspring
will.
does.
I don't have a son yet." And then it was such a great moment. I love that moment.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm going to be a dad," and everybody's smiling. I was like, that would never happen now, based on the ideology of current entertainment.
It's true.
Well, yeah. Again, but it's a timeless thing, though. You know, anyone who can sit down and watch that, and which I think majority of people are normal in that aspect, would sit back and go, "Oh, that's a sweet, cute scene." It's only the blue-haired landway old Trigglypuffs that would be upset about it.
Yeah,
and it's just amazing how things have gone in entertainment. I do think it is turning better now, but it's going to be slow. But the thing is, like I always sat back and said, it's gonna be slow, and it's going to seem like we're still losing because they're pulling out all the stops. But we watch it though. You even say yourself, Brian, that it just seems like they're coming at us more and more and more at that. Well, that's because they're trying to do that last gasp because they know they're losing, but they're like Berlin, surrounded by the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're thinking that they can throw the youth corps out there to take care of everything as they're getting slaughtered left and right. But they're still proclaiming that they're having victory. And that's not the case. But they're going to do that illusion of it, the illusion of that's besides the truth. And I think we are getting better. We've been starting to talk more and more about better stuff. We've seen 2 Star Trek series behind a paywall. Behind a paywall. I love seeing that.
Yes.
Canceled. You should never get canceled. You should go out on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, especially something that has those 2 magic words, Star Trek.
Yeah.
So I do think we're going to get that. But the big thing, and I agree with Mike, it all needs to have a rest.
Yes.
They need to stop for a while, and people need to start getting a little bit more creative and bring out the next new thing, or try to bring out a next new thing, a story, or universe, or property, or whatever you want to call it. But that entitles that.
Yeah, that's right. You got to use your brain, and you can't worry about failing. And if you do, then that's a problem in itself as well.
Yeah. As Vince Vaughn always was saying in that article, in that interview about R-rated movies, adult comedies, and how we can't do that today. Well, that's just it. You got to risk. If you make a risk, they'll fall on your face, but you might bring in dividends like you've never dreamed of before.
Yep. They they throw in stuff. We'll say like bros, for example, and it even offended other gay people. I'm just saying it did. It was because it just became more stereotypes. They don't go and think about things like in I Love You Man, where they have two gay characters and they think about these situations and they're funny because they're worried about offending people. It's so stupid.
And here I bring out a 30-plus-year-old show for Cash to watch that deals with homosexuality that was on Showtime.
Right.
And it's like, he's been raving about how that show is so well written, and everybody is a target, as it should be when you're doing a show like that. Good, bad, and different. It shows people for what they are. People.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh gosh, here he is again. We found Agent Smith had to come back from the Matrix.
But honestly, I compare Hollywood now to they're like the problem children that can't keep their hands off of anybody or anything. They have their hands on everything.
Yes.
And they're putting their germs on it. They're putting dirt, and their dirt and germs are they're basically tainting everything that they're doing. Just leave stuff alone. Leave the stuff alone. I'm at the point now where I'm sure you guys have all felt this way too. Whenever they announce something, I groan now when we're going to make a movie based off of Borderlands. I'm like, oh no. And then of course,
you can't do that unless you understand the property and the humor. And getting the right cast. And I hate to break it to you, but Cate Blanchett, as much as I like your acting, you're not Lilith. Lilith is in her 20s. I hate to break it to you. So you got to find someone younger, even if they're new people. But they got to understand the property enough for them to fix these problems.
Mike, I don't know if I can handle being on the stream with an ageist right here. This Cash Money, this ageist, this guy. Yeah. Mike, I demand you punish.
Oh, no. I've got a solution.
Oh no. I didn't mean it.
Well, you know what's going to happen?
Wait, what happened? Oh man!
Help! I'm being repressed.
It was. I forget. That's from. I finally watched all of Monty Python for the first time. All Holy Grail for the first time.
Oh.
I'm still more in the life of Brian, not because of my name. I just think I thought was originally stupid. One scene that I thought was originally stupid, I can never stop laughing at it now. Same with Airplane. So the whole Rome name biggest.
Yeah, because you go back to even something like Airplane, they didn't give a rat's. They don't care about offending people. Even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was funny in that movie. I know.
Hey, you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My dad says you're not Trimer. Look, kid, when you run up the court with this guy and do that, you see how you perform, huh?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
What is that? What is that? Airplane. That's a movie with tits, but that's not important right now.
but speaking of movies, one movie I did want to ask you if you got a chance to see it for its 40th anniversary was Alien.
Alien. I think didn't I make a video on Alien? Nah, I didn't make a video on Alien.
No, I'm not saying anything here.
Alien, isn't that a movie about people coming in from Guatemala? Oh no, it's called El Norte. Never mind. So not that Alien. Oh. Is that the one with the Spaceballs?
Mm-hmm. No, that's the one that you said, "Hey, Baron, you want to be on the show?" I said, "Hell no, that movie sucks," and we haven't talked.
Oh, okay, that movie.
No.
All right, I know. I know that movie.
No, actually, I was nicer than that, folks. I just have I'm the wrong one for that one.
I think Romulus comes out next week. Believe it or not.
Yeah, it does.
Romulus.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Remus.
Yeah. Why not? Well, Romulus does kill Remus, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, if you know your mythology.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean mythology? I thought it really happened.
What, the Romulus and Remus? Okay, you know what? Fair point. Fair point. I mean,
don't shame my religion, or I'll call Zeus to fire a lightning bolt on you.
Zeus from Die Hard 3. Hey,
Yeah.
or no, yeah. Hey, Zeus, what do I look freaking Puerto Rican? I don't want to go there. I love that. That part always makes me laugh. Like, hey, Zeus, hey, Zeus, what do you think? I'm mother effing Puerto Rican. But yeah, I have, but video game adaptations. I like the Super Mario movie, the animated Super Mario movie. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
I liked it.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I didn't have any issues with Princess Peach, Princess Toad. I'm gonna say Princess Toadstool to show how old I am.
She was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Bob Hoskins' film for a moment there.
No.
Oh, you mean with Big Bertha? Yeah, with big busty Bertha. You know, I didn't even realize it, but she's the fish that eats Mario in Super Mario 3. Did you know that? And I thought about the sexual connotation. I was like, oh my God, this movie. I saw this as an 8-year-old. I was 8 because it was 93. I was 8 when that movie came out. I was just like, oh my God, now I know what they were getting at. This movie is not for kids, folks. This movie, and I showed that movie to Prophet's kids, and they're all like, this movie sucks. I'm like, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I mean, I can remember watching it at a friend's house going, what is this? It's not Mario.
Dennis Hopper is King Koopa.
Yeah, he loved playing that part, though. He loved playing that part.
Yeah, he was like a villain in everything in the early 90s. Like he was like because he was divorcing his wife, or his wife was divorcing him and taking for everything he got. So he had to be in like 10 movies in a year. So he was taking like every villainous role he could get, basically. So yeah.
It was Blue Velvet.
Ooh. I still have not seen that. That's on my list.
With the oxygen tank.
Yeah. Oh man, him turning into a dinosaur was terrifying. This is before I saw Jurassic Park.
Well, maybe he was in Jurassic Park too. I mean, he was probably a cameo in there.
Yeah. So I'm curious of the level of quality that Nintendo is going to, because I know Nintendo's themselves are monitoring the stuff that everybody else is adapting. They're making a Legend of Zelda live action by the director of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And because I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, unless they have a decent writer on board, that movie was terrible. I don't know if you guys seen the fourth.
I haven't seen any of the recent Planet of the Apes films, and
the Andy Serkis trilogy is brilliant. I like it a lot.
Britt likes it too. I just never really got into Planet of the Apes all that much. I did watch the original, but
who?
I don't know. Did I do a video on Planet of the Apes? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Let me look up here.
You have a channel?
Do I? I have a channel? No way. No way.
You got a retrospective on the original Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did. Wow, it's been so long. It's going to be a couple of years since I uploaded it. So I haven't done a whole lot this year. I've only done like maybe 3 videos this year, 3 or 4 videos. So, been
Keep
meaning.
your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.
Yep. Remember, Baron. Never trust anybody over 40.
As the oldest one here, I resemble that remark.
That's the second oldest one here. I do resemble that remark.
Yeah, you're still a youngin'. Baby.
But which one of these videos that you've done, especially for the retrospectives, has been basically one from the moment you started it to the moment you finished it, you didn't feel like you were wasting your time? As you went along, you might have thought of other things to add to it, and
probably the one before the Planet of the Apes, the Zelda Ocarina of Time one, the one that I probably put the most time and effort into. 5. I mean, I had to split into 3 parts because I wrote like a 40-page script for that one. And I didn't just I wanted to retell. So part of the thing is, and I got some criticism for this. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is just a walkthrough." I mean, it kind of is, and it kind of isn't. It's more of me basically trying to. I wanted to retell the story in my own way, and I showed how. And the thing is, I remembered exactly how I played it, the choices I made, and that's basically what I included. Of course, I always, do your typical. I always have like a nice little opening montage with with music kind of cut, to see what would work and all that. And of course, I would show the montage, and then it would transfer into my Nerdporeal Lifeform screen. And I made that screen from a site called Pixteller when I first started the channel. And
Okay.
it's nothing. I didn't really design it well. It's actually terribly designed, but I'm so used to it. It's part of the Nerdporeal experience, I guess. I don't know.
That's part of the channel's identity.
Yeah,
at this point.
that terribly, because I've never done anything like that before, creating that type of thing. So I just did that. I decided to play around with the colors, and it ended up being. So I was trying to create something equivalent to what, like, I wanted to create something with the transporter technology, and I couldn't really do it. So I did something like that instead. So first video I ever did was I played the sound of the transporter from Star Trek 2, I think. And you hear that in the so you see the intro pop up, or you see the logo pop up, and I was playing the transporter sound. So maybe try, you could, yeah, I give you permission. Yeah, see that? I don't want to hear my voice. I don't. One thing I don't do is rewatch my videos, because it's a very, in my opinion, I don't mean to sell myself short, but it's very raw, because I've never done this before, so it's a little bit on the awkward side, but yeah.
That's understandable, because it took me a long time to watch myself doing anything or hearing myself, because you're always your worst critic. You really are. But I finally, in the last couple of years, actually been able to say, okay, no, you need to critique yourself, and who better than you? And and so I've gotten more comfortable with it now, but it is a big hurdle to get over. It's a big wall to climb. I can attest to you.
Even when you're doing something like a gaming stream, you should try to always bring some good information, laugh. It's supposed to be entertaining. You don't want to just sit there. Well, today I went to the guy's house and it was good, and yay.
You sound like a black pill channel.
Right, I know. Right?
Well, that's our nickname for him, Mr. Blackpill.
Right, you gotta right. You got to bring a lot of energy to that. So, like, that's what I think any streamer. It doesn't matter how big your channel is, small your channel is. You need to always bring a lot of entertainment to it, and pay attention to the chat. And it's just amazing to me that there's still people that are like, I have to quit streaming, I can't do this. It's like, yeah, this is hard work, just like a lot of things. Well, welcome to the club. It's
I mean, this is the energy that Cash brings to his streams.
You know what really grinds my gears?
You, America.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, but like, even like that Star Wars Outlaws, like, I'm not going to do a video on this like other people. Like, nope, I got to mock this. I got to tell people that there is better Star Wars games still out there than this Outlaws that's coming out, really.
And next week, by the way, please tune into the Phantom Hooligans, where Cash will be talking about Star Wars Outlaws and explaining point by point about this game. Back to you, Cash.
That's right. It's just so funny, but but you also don't want to. Even Star Trek recently, it's like, oh, I had this argument actually with Spock. It's like, look, Spock, I understand how you feel, man. He's doing well.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
But he's like, the Kelvin timeline isn't as bad as what. And I'm like, that's fine, Spock, but I mean, I can't say that I'm not jaded with Star Trek, especially after watching all of Picard season 3. I can't say I'm not jaded. Unfortunately, I wish I wasn't.
There was a point where I was almost convinced that they were gonna turn this entire thing around, and then the fact that it was Terry Matalas doing that actually inspired some confidence, because he actually worked on Voyager. He worked on Enterprise. So I thought, he would bring some of that, into creating Picard season 3, where he could do whatever he wanted to do. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, maybe there was obviously budgetary reasons why they couldn't shoot outside, but I mean, the fact that he was given carte blanche, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't include, like, it should honestly. I mean, I've said this several times. I think he went on record saying how much he disliked Star Trek Generations. I mean, that's especially with when they introduced Daystrom Station, they had all those Easter eggs going around, including the body of Kirk or something. I was like, really?
Yeah, they had the
really?
body of Kirk.
All right, whatever, fine, fair.
I don't hate Generations. It's just not better to me than First Contact. First Contact, out of all the 4 of them, is still my favorite.
Let him talk, Cash.
Fair enough. No, but I'm with you on that. Contact is probably the best of the films for sure.
But yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. It's all right. But going into like what they could have done with Picard is, and now this would probably take some build up and everything. Do not include the shapeshifters. Don't even include the Borg Queen. They've overdone the Borg Queen. I don't consider the Borg Queen the main enemy of Picard. Picard doesn't really have main enemies. Like, Borg Queen was a movie, a First Contact creation. It wasn't a TNG creation. It was a First Contact creation. Honestly, what they should have done, they should have found a way to bring back Renee. Renee's not dead. We think he's dead. Picard thinks he's dead from Generations. They had the fire, but we never seen any of it. So it could be left to interpretation what happened.
Good point.
I think personally, people were pissed off that Locutus killed a whole bunch of people, and they did something bad. They burned down the chateau, and Renee was left by himself. His parents are dead. He's alone. He got away, and somebody finds him and raises him as one of those Fenris Rangers type of deal. And so years go by. He's a Fenris Ranger. He's got his own family. He has his own son. His son would probably be the age, would be like a teenager. And Picard actually would, find out that Renee's alive, try to meet with him. Renee would hate him. Like, why didn't you, what the hell? Why didn't you try to look for me? I mean, you're all over the place, and I couldn't possibly get to you, in being my circumstances. But then, so there's tension between them. And if I had my way, they would get the original actor, not the actor from Generations. I'm talking about the original actor that played young Picard in Rascals, and that played Renee. Like, he'd be in his mid 40s by that point. So he definitely would have a son, probably teenager, who is probably thinking about his future. And Picard meets him, and his son would be curious about him, and he would be like, would someone like me be able to get in the Starfleet? And Picard would probably cry at hearing that, because of the fact that he thought that there would be no more Picards, and that there would not be another Picard to go into Starfleet. I think that would have been, I think that would have went a long way with fans. And I think at the same time, you have who I think the main villain should have been, and this would have been a great way to bring her back into it, because she was part of the original cast in season 1, and I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about.
No,
as the main villain,
Denise Crosby.
Yes,
that's who I'm thinking of.
Sela. Bring back Sela. She was still alive, but she was basically she was defeated by Picard, Data, and Ambassador Spock. But I think she should have been head of the Romulan. We should have understood exactly what at that point we should have understood. They still have not have stated the exact structure of the Romulan Empire after the whole Romulus gets destroyed business. Like, they had the opportunity to go there and go into some Romulan politics, post J.J. Abrams' stupid decision, but that's just me.
Yeah. Jeez. And Vulcan too.
Yeah. And then we find out that they're plotting something, or they're gonna destabilize something, and only Picard and the crew can stop her, or something like that. It would be something like that. But no Borg, get rid of the Borg, or if you're gonna have the Borg, do the whole thing where people were pissed off about look cutest, kind of like, the way Cisco, loathed Picard and all that.
Right.
They agree that and leave it like that. No mystery box. They should have the entire cast right away. Picard, I feel, should not have been old man Picard. He should have just been.
No.
He should have just been. I'm the way he was in episode 5 with Ro. I think he should have been like that the entire show. Because that was the closest to being to the real Picard we were going to ever get. So, and that was the only episode I actually liked.
Well, they could have saved her. They could have saved her too.
They could have saved Ro. Yeah, they could have saved Ro. Like she just died for nothing.
Stupid writing, just stupid writing, man.
Yes.
Well, what would you say if they had followed up with Conspiracy from Next Generation and used that for season 3 of Picard?
Yeah,
I forgot why Metalis wrote, because I think that was something Metalis thought about, and I forgot why he said he wouldn't do it. I'd have to, but I think that could have worked, and they could have still had that. Who are these bad guys? Who are these enemies? Why is Starfleet being infiltrated? And so they could have done the whole Starfleet being infiltrated thing while there's an internal threat and an external threat. And because this is a single series, combine them. Have Sela had made a deal with these conspiracy parasites or whatever. We'll help you if you help us. Blah blah blah. I didn't like the whole Dominion or the fake shapeshifters and the Borg Queen controlling them. I thought that was stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense why the changelings and the Borg would work together. I don't know that much about the changelings, but I'm like, this is bullshit.
So they were basically modified. So according to was episode 7, they were modified, they were tortured. So they're victims to the evil Federation, to the evil Starfleet.
Yeah, evil Starfleet. Yeah.
And apparently they were upgraded, yet they were downgraded at the same time. So they were upgraded to the point where you could, you had the whole blood test, the thing, come on, man, the thing. The blood test would be able to tell you who a shapeshifter was. But in Picard's case, even doing a blood test would not work for reasons. That's how upgraded they were. But at the same time, they couldn't re-link with the Great Link or something, so they stayed in the quadrant. They didn't write this well. They didn't establish this well at all. Like, are we supposed to just believe that the Great Link wouldn't have found a way to bring them home? Because I mean, I'll be honest, the Great Link can work nothing short of miracles. Like they can somehow control Odo in the Broken Link episode and get him to come back home like a fish. Basically,
I was going to say, if they can, bring Odo back to the link, make him fully human according to tricorder scans, and then, help Odo become a shapeshifter again after Bashir found the cure.
Yes.
Who knows what else they're able to do?
Yeah, and then the Borg controlling like the younger people in Starfleet and so on. It's like, this is how we will win, basically. And then you got Crusher. You got another Crusher who's basically like, I'm the chosen one. Like there was something.
Okay,
it felt
that
like
was
something
another
out of Star Wars. It was ridiculous. I remember Crit was annoyed by that too.
That was another. That was another
Mike,
issue.
Mike, you were annoyed by that too.
I mean, well, and I guess a lot of people said anything's better than Wesley. Okay, fair, fair,
yeah.
But honestly, I thought about that. And I just can't buy that they had a son, and I think they should have. Like, if you really wanted to focus on the next generation, you should have found a way once again to bring back Renee. I think it could have been done. I think it could have been done with some good taste. And Renee has a son, and that son will want to be in Starfleet. And I thought, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. This might be tropey. In my version of the story, Renee would die.
Sure, why not?
Renee would die, and his son would have to step up and take the mantle as the youngest generation of Picard, or the latest generation of Picard. And he steps up and he becomes the leader, and he ends up being a lot like, one thing that Renee will tell his son is, you're a lot like your grunkle, your great uncle. You're a lot like Jean-Luc and everything, especially when he was younger and all that. So I don't know. I think that like it could have worked. So season 3 of Picard, He had some good ideas. I just think the way they executed and the way the choices that they decided to make, I think did not work. But I think but there was a story with the themes and with what they were trying to go for.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Well, the thing
just
the,
don't
the,
make
the
just
big-
don't make the ending Return of the Jedi. You can't
Right,
fly the can't fly the Enterprise D like
It's
the
so
Millennium
stupid.
Falcon into the Borg Death Star.
No.
Like this
Well,
is,
it's
I mean,
so dumb.
Star Trek fans don't need that. We don't need that.
No.
We never needed that.
No, stupid.
Well, I think one of the big problems is all Picard season 3 was just grabbing all plot points and tropes from the previous Star Treks. I mean, like we were saying here, he had Picard has a strange relationship with a doctor who had a son, basically in secret, and that son might not necessarily like him. I mean, okay, and he's growing old, and what does he do now? I mean, just like Kirk is growing old, I feel old. So it's like, okay, now you're stealing Star Trek 2, which of course Abrams was doing throughout there. It's like, see, he's eating the apple as he's doing the Kobayashi Maru. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. See, that's just like out of Star Trek 2. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that it's like that's all you're not interested in telling a story. You're interested in doing Star Trek member berries, and that's all the fucking thing was.
Yeah, there was there was too many.
No, that's all it was. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Terry Metalis could not figure out how to bring back the creatures from Conspiracy. Then you're a shit writer. You're an absolute shit writer. Unless the only thing that was keeping you from doing that was something to do with copyrights, which it wasn't. That was going to be the big scary thing, but they opted to go with Borg.
Yeah, that's because I always thought it was because of copyright that they made certain decisions, as opposed to ones that made as opposed to what made sense. I honestly don't know. I'll have to rewatch. I'll have to read that article because I know it's out there somewhere. But yeah, seriously, like there was. I mean, it could have been. I mean, season 3. I mean, have Mike or Baron or Cash? Have any of you guys listened to any positive reviews of that? Like, Neurotic and Critical Drinker have liked it. What have they said about why did they like? Is it just because it's less? Because it doesn't have all the woke elements? I'm curious what it is.
The common thing I remember hearing from them is that it felt like Star Trek.
Yes, that's what they said. Yes,
it's not Discovery.
Right.
It's not Discovery. It's not season 1 and 2 of Picard. Obviously,
That's what I hear too. Like it's the best we gotten, and it's just like with other people, it's just it's the best that we've had. Like once again, is that saying much? But yes, people like Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, and some of the other ones are like, they feel like Star Trek.
Wait, when you said Nerdrotic, you said neurotic. Oh, anyway, sorry. I thought you said Nerdporeal. Never mind. Don't mind me. There's too many nerds. Nerds.
And I want to make something perfectly clear. If that's their opinion, that's their opinion.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't mean it's wrong or right. It just that's their opinion, and that's how they feel.
It does mean they're wrong.
They said that it feels like Star Trek is back to an extent. It feels like old Trek, and some people even cried, and that's fine when they saw the Enterprise again from TNG. And
I mean, there were moments where even I got a little, I felt some emotions. I won't lie.
But I
got emotion when they showed up on the bridge.
Yeah.
And then I'll admit, as soon as I got on the bridge and everything was illuminated, I was starting to nitpick. I'm going, no, those lights are supposed to be blue.
Me too.
Those lights underneath the consoles are supposed to be blue.
Yeah. Wait a second. That's not the right colors. Yeah. You just can't stop yourself because
Mike is always. Yeah, he's always.
Well, I think back to Relics when they had Scotty show up and they recreated part of the bridge.
Such a good episode
of the original Enterprise in the episode.
Yes,
and just how much care they took in recreating just a portion of that bridge. And then even in Trials and Tribulations on Deep Space Nine, the care they took to recreate a portion of the bridge again, a portion of the original sets.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. I mean,
That matters.
Look at what they did with Babylon 5. I mean, my gosh, dude, with that budget, but they still did so much with it. It's impressive. It really is. Like, that's what we want. More details in art, more details in shows. We also don't need everything spoon-fed to us. Hey, do you remember this? Remember this? Hey, this is happening. Where is the mystery? Oh no, we're taking that away. Well, fuck you guys.
And then they put in a mystery, but then they put a mystery box plot.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
And getting to Babylon 5, I don't think they would be able to write characters.
No.
Like Londo and Jakar.
No way, man. And the strong women on that, it's like, yeah, we're not going to put up with your shit. Oh, you're a man? I don't give a shit. I don't care. Yeah, but they were so well-rounded. It's like, you guys want to sell people on these characters, you have to do the building. You have to do the research. You need to use your brain more.
Yes.
You can't sell a lot of people on characters like Riva. You can't sell people on characters like that chick from Forbidden or whatever her name is. I forgot her name now. It's just, yeah. And that was just in a game. So it's do better. Do better. Come on.
I say that to you all the time.
I say that to you, Baron.
So I'm just curious. Curious what movies you guys have watched lately. I've watched a couple westerns pretty recently myself. Okay. I watched this one a couple days ago, and the ending is so. Remember, this is 1968. This is shortly before the 70s decade when things started to get well. This Western was pretty. I think this Western, when it comes to bleakness, I don't think anything can be bleaker than that movie. It's called, and this one is called. It's a spaghetti Western. It's called The Great Silence. Have any of you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
I think I've watched that one.
Yeah, I have not seen it. No.
So it's directed by, it's not Sergio Leone. It's directed by the Django director, Sergio Corbucci. And so Sergio Corbucci wanted to make a different type of Western. He wanted to make a Western where you were high in the mountains. You were high in the mountains of Utah, or in this, or if you could tell it's obviously northern Italy. But hey,
that's all right.
Hey, that's not important right now.
No,
like Airplane. But the idea behind that movie was there's been a lot of political upheaval in the late 60s. I mean, a lot of assassinations, a lot of deaths of famous people. I mean, what's weird is I was reading up on this on the very, very, very reliable website known as Wikipedia. Very reliable, extremely. So I could be completely wrong, but Corbucci was a leftist, like most directors are, even in Italy. So I'm curious if he supported the Communist Party in Italy, but that's neither here nor there. He made a movie to kind of bring out that bleakness or that he was feeling. I mean, the deaths of Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy in 1968, and of course the death of Che Guevara. I'm like, why are you feeling bad about the death of Che Guevara? Che Guevara was stirring up shit all over the place, and he got caught in Bolivia and he got executed for it. Jesus. Sorry. But
you're not wrong.
Malcolm X, all that. And so the movie basically takes people that work on behalf of the government, bounty killers, not bounty hunters, bounty killers. In this movie, anytime a criminal gets caught, the bounty killer doesn't, it's a dead or alive thing. They just kill him. Why? Because it's easier. Because you don't know if the criminal is gonna, even as early in the movie, one of the criminals. So there's a ragtag group of people out there that are robbing and stealing from people up in the mountains. The people up in they're there because they're stealing because they can, but according to the movie, we're supposed to think that they're good guys. And even the new sheriff that comes in, he's an Italian. I think he's an Italian actor. He's the actor. If you guys ever seen Once Upon a Time in the West, he is the father of that homestead that you see in the beginning of the movie. Same actor. I don't know his name.
Okay.
So he comes in as the sheriff, and he's like, "Oh, they're not criminals," even though he was literally mugged by them. They stole his horse. Now you have to remember they're in the wilderness, up in the mountains, and it's snowing. Now this is a very white. This is a very snowy movie. This is not your typical Western in the desert. This is your Western in the mountains type of deal. And it's like the Hateful Eight. And I swear the Hateful Eight kind of took some ideas. You're in a carriage, you're in the snow and all that. Everybody's bundled up like it's like they're in the north of Westeros, and then White Walkers are about to attack. That's how I think Game of Thrones should have looked. Especially the final season, but that's just me. It's neither here nor there. But the sheriff basically says that these people they're not criminals, they're not bad, they're just hungry. And I swear I hear this in a lot of politicians now when bad people do bad things in the city. You have rioters doing all bad stuff. Oh, it's because they're unheard. It's poverty, or there's always an excuse.
Always.
And they got to remember that this is Corbucci is a leftist, so he's basically projecting that stuff. But what's unforgettable about this movie, I don't know if I should go into spoilers. The ending is very.
I'll go ahead and put the spoiler card up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the good guy in the movie is a guy named Silence. Why is he called Silence? Well, when he was so while spaghetti westerns do this, the main character has a history. He has a chip on his shoulder. He has a history. Usually, when they were kids, their parents were murdered by evil people in power, or other cowboys, or rustlers, or criminals, or politicians. And in his case, his throat was cut as a kid, and he can't talk. He survived, and he doesn't talk, and he kills. He's a hired. People can hire him to, if people have an issue with the bounty killers, he will go and kill them. And he will do it in a legal way where he provokes them into attacking him, and so he can claim self-defense. And what he likes to do is he likes to not only kill them, but he takes away their ability to kill. Like he will shoot their thumbs. That's how good of a shot he is. So he's up there with Clint Eastwood, or Clint Eastwood type of characters. Gunslinger. Well, at the end of the movie, let's just say the main villain is Klaus Kinski's character. He's called Loco. Now, he's your typical bad guy. He's the main bounty killer. He's the one that he works together with the evil banker dude, the evil capitalist dude in the city that's basically keeping people down and is causing people to go up into the mountains and rob because they can't survive otherwise, because capitalism is evil. All right. I'm not joking. This is the 60s. It's still a good movie, but it's still projecting that thing. And watching it now and with these ideas in mind, it's hard not to see the allegory there.
Right.
But
I also think about what was happening in the 60s at that time.
Yes.
And even before then.
I mean, the Great Society was becoming a thing. I don't know much about Italian politics in the 60s, but I'm assuming, the Communist Party became a big thing after World War II. So I don't know how. I'm curious about 60s politics in Italy. So that would be something I would definitely need to research more. But
remember, Phil McCracken's Italian, and just look at him. That's the way Italy didn't stand a chance.
There you go. So, but going back, he basically gets into, let's just say Loco gets arrested by the sheriff because the sheriff is sympathetic. And let's just say Loco, Klaus Kinski, kills the sheriff by shooting because he tricks him into standing on an ice lake, and he shoots the ice under him, and he drowns. Or we don't see him drown, we just see him fall, and then it cuts away. So he could still be alive, right? So Klaus Kinski gathers his gang, and they go back to town with his gang. While at the same time, the people in the north, the ones that have been mugging and looting and stealing from people, I mean, it's because they're hungry, right? Well, the sheriff basically says, "Hey, everybody, bring out your food, and they'll come and get it, and they will stop being criminals." Right. Well, they go. Those people are walking towards the city, while Loco's people he finds out that they're walking towards the city, like, oh, this is our chance to get them. So they get back to the city, and Silence is being held. Silence is being held. Is being holed up by this woman who happens to be a person of color. Believe it or not, this is the '60s. They did have a few black people in the week because there were black people. And what's funny is there's a subplot where Loco Klaus Kinski kills the woman's husband because he's one of those guys. He's one of those people that commits crimes with that group in the north, up in the mountains. So they instead of letting them live and taking them to justice, they just kill them. I mean, they're still bad, but it's a lot. The movie's a lot grayer in that terms, because even the main character Silence, who you're supposed to be on the side of, not necessarily a good person. Like, he tries hard to get Klaus Kinski to shoot him, or to get him to react to him so that he can shoot him, and it fails. And let's just say plus the sheriff interferes with that, and let's just say it basically seals Silence's fate ultimately, because they do take out the evil business capitalist, because you have to take out a bad guy. But Klaus Kinski comes back. People try to shoot him. He kills them. And he takes all those people that came for the food, those bandits, or whatever you call them. They're supposed to be good guys. He takes them all hostage. And he tells the woman that's holding up Silence, he's like, you better bring him out, or I'm going to kill all these hostages. So she goes and she tells him. And she's like, don't do it. She's like, don't do it. They're going to kill you. And you know what he does? He goes outside. They're all holed up in the bar with the hostages up against the bar deck. He goes outside. He's waiting for them. Klaus Kinski's men shoot him in the hands. He shoots him in the hands. He can't shoot anymore. Then Klaus Kinski himself opens the door, and they have the stare down. You get the I don't know if you've seen spaghetti westerns. Now they do the really close up of the face, and then they do a close up of the eyes, and you have this very, very crazy, like, evil look of Klaus Kinski, like folding his arms like that and just looking like he's got the expression of, I caught you. You are right where I want you. And then Silence, not trying to give up, tries to hold his gun. He has a Mauser. He has a Mauser gun. He tries to lift it up. They shoot him again, and he drops it. And then Klaus Kinski takes out his gun, shoots him in the head, and kills the protagonist. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't end there. The woman the woman that wanted to have Loco killed by him tries to pick up his gun and shoot him, and Loco kills her too. And then the hostages, they execute all the hostages. You hear screaming, and then they just leave, and that's how the movie ends. That's how the movie ends. The bad guys literally win completely. They win completely. And the last thing you see is Klaus Kinski, Loco, picks up his Mauser. It's his trophy, and they ride off. They're like, we'll come back for the bodies and get the reward, and they leave. And then we get a scrolling epilogue saying that the stuff of the bounty killers was denounced and condemned by the people, blah blah blah, and that was it. That was the ending. And they had to come. And the thing was, the director's like, I don't know if people are going to like this ending or how people are going to react to this ending. So they came up with a happy ending where the sheriff guy comes back. He didn't actually die, and he shoots Loco in the head or something, and Silence kills all the other goons in the bar. And we find out he actually has a gauntlet, so his hands weren't completely destroyed under the bandages and all that. So it was. I mean, I would have preferred if they were going to do a happy ending, you should have had Silence kill Loco, and then I don't know, but that's just me. And then they did that. They had another ending they had in mind, which was horribly edited, where they shoot his hands, but then they don't kill him. Like, it just ends on an ambiguous note. And he's there, he's on his knees, and they just leave. And then you get this little breeze, and it says "fine," end in Italian. And I don't know. I was thinking about that. The Morricone soundtrack builds up the last 7 minutes of that movie. The Morricone soundtrack builds the tension so well. Like I was re-listening to it today. That I've been listening to it like the last 5 days. It's just how crazy it is. And you're listening to it. You're like, if I listened to this, could I tell that the ending would have been what it was? It was so. It was almost like the soundtrack was mocking you or mocking your expectations in a way, and it was very creepy. There was a creepiness to it, and it was very emotional, and it was just like, and then just go silent, like the movie, like the name of the movie and everything. So it's something
so if
that
I'm interpreting what you're saying correctly, the music's basically telling you the hero's not going to win this like you think he is.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it builds. It starts off very low, and then it just builds and builds. And then as he gets his hand shot, the music gets more dramatic and more emotional. And then it gets even way emotional when he gets shot in the head. And then it ends. And then it gets it gets even more emotional when the music ends when the hero is dead. And it's silent when the woman gets dispatched, and then it's all you hear is gunshots and screams when they execute all the hostages. And then they play a very somber but optimistic score at the end. It's the main theme of the movie, because that's what you think. Even though bad stuff happens and you don't really see justice, that things can get better or everything. But I mean, I don't even think, I think it should have just ended with no with no score. Like the credits should have been just silent, like the name of the movie, The Great Silence.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, is it reason why it's praised is because that's the more realistic way to show it. I mean, that
would have been more effective.
Yes. I mean, the reason why I think Tony Soprano is dead in The Sopranos, spoiler alert, is because of the silence of the credits at the end.
He's dead?
I mean, we don't know for sure. It's from his point of view.
Went to black.
So.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, sadly, the actor has passed too. Sadly.
Yeah, great actor.
Yeah.
Was a great actor.
James Gandolfini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's no Michael Chiklis.
Yeah. No, he's not. No, he's not. Well, I don't know anybody who resembles him.
Me neither.
I still have to see The Shield, though. I need to watch
The Shield. You might also like him in Hotel Cocaine. That is a crazy show. Yeah.
The first thing I know him from is The Commish.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and then he plays like a crazy villain in Gotham. He was in Gotham, believe it.
Yes, he was.
I forget who he played.
He had a good role in that. Yeah.
He was the new captain, and then he morphed into a villain. I forget which villain it was, but he morphed into a villain basically, and then he disappeared. He wasn't in the final season.
Yeah, I never got through that show.
I did not like the ending myself. So yeah. There were great moments though. I liked it enough. Maybe it's because of my goodwill of me liking Batman and the Rogues Gallery, and it did have that comic booky type of deal. So I was okay with some of it. There was some of it that didn't really play out at all. I don't know.
Young Gordon and Bullock were really good. I don't know. My brother and I, if I remember, we felt like the whole thing of Bruce Wayne felt so forced the way they did it. It's like, he's becoming Batman. Yes, I get it. Thank you. Yeah, I just felt it was very forced.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Are you? Oh, no problem.
Right.
No, that was I forget to turn off my camera. I turn off my mic when somebody's trying to talk to me or something.
But it's just like then they move these shows around too, which is annoying too. Then you lose hope in them. Same thing happened with the Orville. They move it around, and it's like, well, then I don't want to watch this show anymore. But now,
or you still want to watch it, but you have to find out what day it's airing and what time it's airing on that day.
Right, exactly.
So I got a question. I mean,
yeah,
Mike, I know you're with me on this. I know you felt final or the New Horizons felt like a series finale, especially the final episode.
Yeah.
What do you think? Where do you think they would? What direction do you think they would take it? I mean, obviously the Mocklins and the the Krill are now the big bads, because opposite ideology is more evil than a existential threat. So now the Kalon are on their side. I don't know how that's going to work. Are they going to revert to them being bad guys again? Are they going to have division? The Kalon supremacists robots are gonna take over or something. It's gonna be something stupid like that.
Or is it going to be one of those things where through Isaac, they teach them a few things about biological organisms that perhaps will make their programming consider their worst sparing? I don't know. Because remember that one admiral that came on board in season 3 and he was turned into that spider?
Yeah. Or the fly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I strongly feel that they could do a follow-up on that.
Yes. Because it didn't really end like it didn't really it just ended really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That episode. Like he was they were all of a sudden off the ship. And I'll be honest, that was a good episode. It was a terrifying episode. Like once you get that stuff on, like even with the advanced tech of the Orville, like way further than even Star Trek, they could not do anything about it because of the rewriting of the DNA and all that. It's becoming one of those creatures, and that's why the Krill said that place was nothing but I forget what the word they used for unclean. And I hear a dog.
Yeah, that was BB.
But yeah, I think like it was just like once again, you don't. It was like your Star Trek trope at that point where you don't follow safety protocols, and an admiral of all people gets hit in the face with this spray that looked like something out of Alien Covenant, basically. And then he turns into a creature, and then he turns a whole bunch of other people into creatures and everything, and they're completely lost, and they become part of this fly collective or whatever you call them. I don't know.
And another thing I was thinking about was you saw Laura come back in the final episode at the very end. Could you have her come back for maybe a full season or part of the season? And what role would she play on the Orville?
She'd be the ex-girlfriend of Seth MacFarlane. Whoops. I went there. Isn't that why she quit in the first place?
Yeah, I heard that was one of the reasons. I don't know if it's true.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like security, like is what's her name? I forget her replacement's name. The other
Talia?
Yeah. Isn't she like the same thing, security or
yeah.
They both did the same they both did the same thing. I don't know what they do. Maybe they do an episode where they team up somehow. I don't know.
Maybe. Considering their species is stronger than the human species, maybe they have a girl power episode. I don't know.
And if you
Wonder Twins powers activate.
Or maybe they'll do an episode where the people of that planet Celea is just a little too intellectual for their own good, to the point where bad ideas are seeping through and they have to solve this mystery or something. Mm-hmm. But then again, this is Seth MacFarlane, so he's not going to do that. Mm-hmm. The university system, maybe Robert Picardo, because I think he's a professor, uncovers a plot to brainwash students or something. Oh wait, that will definitely not happen.
No.
I think that would be if it was written by someone who was apolitical and who was observant of the times. I think that could be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think we need to have a story with that species where every 7 days for us is another 700 years or so on for them. I don't think we need another story with them after what happened the last time.
Was that the one where the one character, the girl, was like Q or something? She created that whole situation in, I think, the third episode of season 3, and she was part of that species. She was part of that species, and she evolved to Organian levels, to the point where it's no need of a body, or if the body glow or is sparkly glowy.
Sparkly glowy, like it came out of Tron.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and see, you just kind of addressed one of the big problems. And even in some ways, Roddenberry had the same problem with the original Star Trek, and especially with Next Generation for the couple of years he was there. And why it was important that you had people like Kuhn and Fontana and a few of the others involved, and getting a little bit more thought in. If you are not going to go after an establishment that you truly believe in 100%, right? Oh, we cannot attack the academic world because nothing they do is ever wrong, or whatever it is. Then you are doing a poor job of going out there and presenting a world. And of course, this is supposed to be an allegory sometimes. It's supposed to be cautionary. How are you going to then, if people going blind in, no matter what these people say, it's all good. No bad will ever come out of it. Then how are you going to find the weasel that gets in there and starts causing the problem? The most important thing is, keep an eye on those that you don't agree with, but keep even more eyes on those that you do.
Yeah, see that people just don't think like that. Like every time something comes up, it's usually automatically dismissed, or it's called a conspiracy. It's called a conspiracy theory, and it's just I don't have the faith of the heart in the current writers because of their political beliefs and their reaction to people that disagree with them. I mean, it's just I don't trust them. I don't trust them to do the right thing. I don't trust them to tell a compelling story that could ring true. I don't trust them to bash on their own side. Like they're I mean, like a lot of these people are literally clowns.
Right. And the thing is if you cannot have that integrity enough, you're going to go out there and do a show that, let's face it, Star Trek is a message show, or it's supposed to be something to make you think. Not an SJW, but social awareness, which is far different than that. Well, how do you make things aware when you decide, no, this is persona non grata, because scientists can never be bad guys. Anything that comes out of science, which was Roddenberry's mindset, by the way, that you never make a scientist into the evil, mad scientist type thing. Well, really, if that's the case, then how do you talk about Mengele then? How do you talk about these other people that are within the quote-unquote science community, and they did horrible things? If you can't keep an eye out or even point out that, every group has a good and a bad, and we want to make sure the bad's not part of it, then you're failing and you're a hack, and you're just blinded by your own dogma. You're blinded by your own fanaticism. And I do look at a good old Pete Griffin that way. Seth MacFarlane. I do view him that way because he's not intellectually honest, especially with himself.
I agree.
Well, no, it's like Family Guy has fallen so hard, and I've talked about this before, and it's funny talking to him or having my brother listening to him when the Blue Harvest was coming out, and how funny that was before a lot of other people got to see it. We watched about 30 minutes of it, or about 20 minutes of it, of the convention, and listening to Seth, it's like, oh, this guy seems like cool, and he's this, and you see what's happened from 2008 where we are now, and where Family Guy is, and where his arrogance, even with that, he says, oh, people are still watching it, so I'm going to keep showing it. And he doesn't care that they're not going to make these gay jokes anymore. They're not going to make this, because he made it very clear that we're going to make Family Guy more politically correct, but we're happy to attack conservatives. We're happy to attack other people that don't agree with us, but we're not going to have more even with the left and the right like we did before. And so the show it has become a train wreck the last few seasons. They don't have the clips anymore. You can tell they changed the writers. they even said, what was some joke about something that this guy's probably in hell. John Hughes, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
John Hughes is in hell, and I thought, really, Seth, you allowed that to happen? You really said that? Okay. I don't know where that came from. I guess that's supposed to be funny, but I was just like, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
it felt.
And even getting back to the Orville, I felt the perfect balance of comedy and drama was season 2.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Like it kind of. I mean, everybody, we all know, like, you know, they had to sell it as a comedy because, you know, Seth MacFarlane, you know, comedian, comedy writer, a lot of shows. So you got some of that, but hey, I think it really became its own in season 2. Season 2, in my opinion, is the best season. Season 3, I really wish season 3 just didn't have the issues that it did. Honestly, I mean, because if it didn't, I would have been more excited for a 4th season. But I'm just right now. I'm just like with most things now. I'm very apathetic.
Yeah, and you know, another follow up to, you know, where would they go in season 4? Well, why not have Gordon meet a descendant of Laura, the girl whose cell phone he fell in love with just by all the information the computer was able to extract from the cell phone, with the pictures, with her voicemail message, with her text messages. Why not meet a descendant? And she's kind of, I don't know, thrown back because Gordon knows more about her great grandmother than she does.
Makes sense.
I got nothing to
And
add.
maybe even considers it a violation of privacy.
You know what's funny is I haven't rewatched that season. I did try to rewatch the Star Wars episode, the Star Wars / Oppenheimer episode. Oh, we have this weapon. Oh, we gotta be careful. We don't want to use it against, you know, we have to be careful in how we use this weapon. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. You guys are in a war of survival, and you're worried about the implications of your weapon that just popped out of nowhere in episode 9. And by the way, Ted Danson is evil. Ted Danson's admiral was part of the right.
What?
He was the right wing. He was part of the right wing element and everything. So he ends up, you know, he gives the weapon, he gives the plans of the weapon to the Krill and all that, so that they can use it against them. And so then now they're the bad guys. I was just like,
kind of like Oppenheimer kind of did the same thing. What? Sorry.
I'm like,
but then again, let's not forget, Cash was the one that stood up and yelled USA, USA, USA
Sure.
during Oppenheimer.
You always say that, Baron.
Baron's been saying that ever since Oppenheimer came out last year.
No, I kept on saying that Godzilla -1 is a sequel to Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah, it did feel like that. That is funny, though, every time you say that, Baron. Yeah, I mean, and Seth has done some interesting things. Even the first Ted movie was very funny, very politically incorrect. But what's happened to Seth lately, especially the last few years, you can just tell.
Look at his Instagram posts. People are just he has to turn off his comments now because of the fact that people, because he puts out you know, his political takes. And I mean, he definitely has his, you know, he does have his apologists, you know, defending him.
Of course.
But he has a whole lot of people. There's a whole lot of people on Instagram basically saying you're wrong, Trump 2024, basically. and it's got and then of course his followers or his fans try their best to dogpile on these people, but it never works. They leave a comment and they go. They don't even bother coming back and all that. So. Yeah, but it gets to a point where a lot of these people, these same people, they put these bad takes out. They get responses from people who don't agree with them to the point where they have to turn off their comments.
Right.
I mean, so instead of having a conversation, now you have all these people all these people are bitching about how everybody has a voice now, and it was a terrible idea all along to give everybody a voice. Everybody's a critic now, blah blah blah. I'm just like, that's a good thing because they're calling you on your shit.
That's right.
Sorry, not sorry.
And there are some of us who have always been critical about our entertainment because we've seen good entertainment and we want it to remain at that level that we've seen before.
That's right. I mean, even when you reboot something, you go back to even, what was it, the He-Man, the 2002 He-Man. You're like, gosh, dang, dude. You go back to the reboot of Thundercats. What was that? 2011. I think that was 2011. Yeah, it's so good, and they took it. They're like, wow, this is now a more serious tone. Okay, I'm liking that. Yeah, this is what you want to see because you're expanding on this. Just like what they did, they expanded with Batman Beyond from Batman the animated series. It's just like if we're going to continue this, we've got to expand on it. And they just, like, again, we always keep talking about this. The writers just don't care about this because they're such narcissists that they're like, whatever they put out is got to be gold. And if you don't like it, you deserve to be attacked. You're the problem.
You're the problem. You're the problem. Right. You're the ones. You're the ones that are keeping potential viewers from watching us, and you're the enemy. That's right.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
how dare you put out that information? How dare you say this?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised they never had. I guess I'm surprised they never had the gall to go after. Well, maybe some directors did back in the day. Go after Siskel and Ebert.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, people did.
Or go after Pauline Kael. Go after whoever else was a big prominent.
Gene Shalit was one of the big reviewers back in the day.
You go.
Oh yeah, they went after him and Rick Reed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Cameron went after people even in Entertainment Weekly back then with Titanic. If you dared give a bad review of Titanic, here comes Cameron and his cronies. They're going after you, and I'm listening to that during some documentary I was like, wow, that's really crazy. And considering where Entertainment Weekly is now and how far left they are now, it's just like, wow, it's just crazy how things have changed so rapidly.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Leonardo DiCaprio thought he should have been nominated for a Best Actor award. He was all upset about that. Yeah, I mean, he did. I'm not kidding. It's not a joke. I remember when that was going on.
Is that a pop on his personality, or is that a pop on his acting, or is it both? Because I've always thought he was a good actor.
I'm going with personality because he was still up and coming, but to instantaneously have that arrogant attitude, I should be. This is the most popular film ever made, and I should be nominated.
I've heard that's his personality. Like he is extremely he's extremely arrogant. Like I know I don't know if you know Fall Ball Productions, Matt. He used to do I think he used to work bar for celebrities and stuff, and he basically described that's how DiCaprio was. Like he was just a piece of work, and how he just thought so highly of himself. Extremely arrogant, extremely narcissistic.
Yep,
I can see that. I could definitely see that. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like that's why I mean, hearing that and is kind of why I'm not so eager to converse with big name celebrities. So whenever I go to a convention like a Comic-Con or something, I would rather get an autograph with someone smaller, supporting actor who doesn't have a line. And I end up having much better time. Like obviously at the Star Trek thing, Andrew Robinson I thought was great. I had a great time. I loved him telling some stories and him signing stuff. He told a story about being in Dirty Harry, how he had to learn how to put the sniper rifle together to get the role. He had to memorize it. So yeah, and it was cool. I mean, I did pay $60. I think I paid like $75 for his autograph. So hopefully he was grateful for that. So
I think he was.
They only took so they
it would seem like with an actor like Andrew Robinson, he would be worth paying for the autograph because you'd actually get to spend some time,
a few minutes talking to him. Yeah, a few minutes having conversation. And I think that's worth more than just going and trying to, because I went to convention last year. I went to Fan Expo here in Chicago in Rosemont area with my buddy Runner Blaze. He's another Chicago local. He's regular on Fanzine's physical media show every week on Wednesdays. Subscribe to Fanzine, by the way. But like, you know, like a whole bunch, the Back to the Future cast was there. Leah Thompson, Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox. I think maybe even Tom Wilson. I think Tom Wilson might have been there. Biff.
But was Einstein?
I don't know. Einstein was not there. I don't think Einstein was there. No, I don't know. But maybe Copernicus.
I heard he's stuck up. I think he's stuck up. I've heard he's a stuck up actor.
That's what I heard too. So, so instead of talking to them, they had the biggest lines and all that. I went in and got the autograph of woohoo! It's a me, Mario, Charles Martinet. And Charles Martinet was a lot of fun. Like I mean, I like Andrew Robinson, but he blows the experience with Andrew Robinson out of the water. Like he was doing several voices. He was having a conversation, and I brought up something interesting that even he was like, okay. I brought up that he was in not Deadpool. He was in the Deadpool, the final Dirty Harry
film. Yep.
He was in a one shot. He was in one scene. It was like one shot of him. He was one of the reporters when right after the scene where Dirty Harry and I forget the woman in that movie, the actress, they're being shot at in the glass elevator and all that. So how do they survive? Well, Dirty Harry. He's the main character. He's going to survive. It's plot armor. But right in the scene after that, where all the press comes in, Charles Martinet is one of them. I recognized him right away. So I was telling him that, and then he tells us he tells a story about how he had to do a fight scene, and he had to work with stunt people in the movie 9 Months. Believe it or not, 9 Months with Hugh Grant and I forget who else was in that one. But yeah, so I got to hear a story, and then he does his Mario impression, and when we did a picture, he was like woohoo like that and everything. So he was very, very fun to be around. So if you have a chance to meet Charles Martinet, he's up there in age, but he still has a lot of energy. And it was a lot of fun to talk to. So definitely, I would definitely recommend it.
Well, Brian, when it comes around to actors, we've been seeing this for a long time.
How many of you think the opinions of actors should be valued as much as, well, say, doctors, engineers, or a courageous congressman?
Right here. Yeah, right on.
Well, you're wrong. Actors are self-centered punks.
And you gotta even be careful with people, with experts, with experts, because they can mislead you. You have to be very careful, and you got to do your due diligence. I mean, look at 2020 and a certain event that starts with Pan happened, and I'm not talking about the labyrinth. I'm talking about something else that I don't want to get this.
You mean frying things up and
Yep. Yeah. And
I like a good walk
and cooking the stuff up, as the Pope and Family Guy always says.
Cooking the things up,
He's a cook. He's a cooking the something up, But yeah, but it's just you gotta be careful.
Yeah, always.
It's because of all this stuff. It's made me. And I wish Star Trek. I mean, this is the perfect time to do this. The Star Trek really, you have an opportunity. They would never do it though, but to kind of question the institutions that make up our society.
Exactly.
Well, it's hard to do that when you have Stacey Abrams come on board as a brave and stunning woman who's the president of Earth, who's willing to let down their protectionist attitudes and rejoin the universe with the smell of rosy farts coming from her ass.
Some of the best comments I've ever read that completely, I laugh so hard reading them. So everybody knows who Stacey Abrams is. She's been trying to run for governor of Georgia for years. And somebody made the funniest comment saying, wow, it took her to the 33rd century to finally win an election. And you know what? It rings true. I can believe it. I wouldn't be surprised if she cryo froze herself, for 1,000 years, for over 1,200 years, just so that she could win an election, become the not only be the president or be the governor of Georgia, but be president of Earth.
I think it would be, the thing is, they're never fair about this either. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is obviously some political agenda, but it's like, all right, you want to do this, then fine. Then I want you guys to also put a conservative in there. Oh, you can't do that. How about somebody like Tom Cotton? Oh, no, we can't have that. We got to have Stacey Abrams. We have people like Lizzo.
And how they not pander, but they're sycophants. It's just like, it's wonderful being with you. It's like, come on, enough already.
It's absolutely disgusting. It's so obvious they're
cringy.
Pushing their campaign too. Exactly.
I mean, at least try to look real. Try at least. Come on. I mean,
always
people aren't stupid, I mean, I know you want to believe that. Maybe that's where you want to get all your viewers from, so you could trick them.
Yes.
And that's why it seems like a lot of people want to pick and choose their viewers, because they can't bullshit a lot of people. So what do? Instead of improving yourselves, instead of trying to write something believable to get those people, no, you just write them off as the enemy and denounce them at every turn, so that your fans will not be swayed by what they have to say, by what certain exactly. What those who detract say. So it's become a game at this point, and it's so petty and it's so stupid. I mean, the reason why people are not calling this stuff out is, they're simply reacting to what you put out.
That's right.
And people have a right to be critical, and if you don't want to, better yourselves, then you're the problem. And my issue is people think that Hollywood's going to improve itself based on how they react to criticism. They will not improve themselves.
Exactly.
And they're going to go the way of the dodo. And I swear there has to be other institutions are going to pop up to compete with Hollywood, because Hollywood's going
to. There's a few.
We already got it right here. And when I was saying about how things are going to get better and it's going to look darker before then, look at, I was always saying YouTube, but let's not leave out Rumble and all this. This is where it's going to come out of. It's going to come out from people like us. We're seeing such great things coming out. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because a lot of it's fan film, I want to see true originality. It's like, come on and really knock it home. Give us something that would be intriguing, and maybe before you know it, people are subscribing. You're getting money coming into it. You can do more, and now you got yourself this new studio started because of us.
Yes.
And I think this is exactly where it's going to be. We got to be quit being afraid of going out and experimenting new things, especially around here on these platforms. Because I think there is a little bit of fear. I don't know if I want to waste my time. It's going to be an amateur thing. And you find out the amateur thing is much more professional than the quote unquote professional crap. Again, look at the human caterpillar being used with Stacey Abrams. There's Stacey Abrams and the rest of the cast of Discovery being the human caterpillar to it.
Yeah. And the thing about doing a live stream or putting up a video is you get people who will actually write criticisms and tell you what they don't like about your video, what they do like about your video. But then you also get those people who will downvote your video. And for those folks, I would just like to ask them, what was it about the live stream or video that made you decide to downvote? Because whatever it is, maybe I can improve on it. There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism.
No, there isn't. But the funny thing is, unlike people like Mike and other people out there, their constructive criticism to these companies now is considered hate speech, which is just very ridiculous and stupid and funny to me. But how dare you criticize this? It's just so funny. Like, it never stops. They can't take it. They can't take constructive criticism of their amazing work that they do. It doesn't matter if it's on artwork. It doesn't matter what it is. They can't take it. And they're like, we're not going to give you information anymore. How about that? It's like, okay, well, whatever.
Whatever.
Cheers.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm curious. One idea, and I know some people have disagreed with me. I'm curious if it's a generational thing. I'm just curious if it's just a millennial thing. Millennials just can't handle criticism or something. I don't know what it is, to be honest.
I don't know, man.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and you want to know why. And I'm going to back up because that's what I want to do. I'm not going to drop. You're absolutely right. Drop it off. There's no whatever. But when I was following through with high school, and I graduated in '87. That's when they started pushing this self-esteem agenda bullshit.
Yeah.
And basically, it's not self-esteem. The program was not to help build a person up and gather confidence, but it was to instill basically validation. So if you did not agree with somebody, you were not validating them. So therefore, it was a personal assault against them. And you obviously have a problem because I am not kidding you. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here. I want my validation. You just hear anybody that gets criticized, whether it's in the work, whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's novelists. I'm looking at George R.R. Martin. It doesn't matter, right? You criticize. You're not giving them validation. You're not worshiping their participation trophy. You're not allotting them as the greatest thing that ever happened. You dare question me. It's like they've turned themselves into 10 little gods.
Yes.
And you are an unfaithful worshiper who deserves at least a 10-minute timeout in the box of hell, if not longer. And that's what we're doing. They don't understand what criticism is because criticism is critiquing. It can be good. It can be bad.
That's right.
Right? It can be done nice. It can be done mean. Right? We all need criticism. And if it comes to make us a better person, so much the better. And more importantly, if you're willing to listen to it when it is meant to be good for you. But that's why we have this problem. That's why we got Hollywood the way it is. That's why we got this crap coming out from Paramount, this crap coming from Disney. You mean to tell me that Leslie Headland is not an entitled bitch who seeks validation for everything she's doing?
Right.
Especially with the crap that she said. What about the guy who plays the new quote-unquote doctor in the quote-unquote Doctor Who series? You're not thinking that he's not prancing around wanting to have validation? Kind of dropped off the face of the earth, though, hasn't he, lately? We don't hear much from him anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think doesn't he realize that was not a good investment? I mean, just all across the board. If you do not validate me, you're a horrible human being. And maybe you're even sexist, racist, homophobic, or whatever it is. No, insert the typical bullshit. And that's exactly what we're facing. Enough validation, and it's time to prove your credentials.
Yep, that's how it is.
One of the criticisms I used to get with the box score was not so much me telling everybody what went on in the game between the Cubs and whoever they were playing, but the fact that I didn't have any highlights included in the videos. And the reason I never included highlights was because of copyright claims and copyright strikes.
My big complaint was you're fixating on the Cubs too much, but
oh man, he's like I took the opportunity, knife in the back.
Hey, I'm just because I'm being nicer because Brian's on the show doesn't mean I'm still not going to take my shots.
We know.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
The shield is up.
We got a wild Nas here. So I messaged him saying, "Hey, I was talking about the Great Silence." So I do talk the spoilers. So, but he's seen the movie, so he knows what I'm talking about. So me and him talked about it quite a bit. So
yep, and it's good to see Nosferatu.
What's funny is the name, his name on there is another Klaus Kinski movie they did in the 70s. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I yes. So, but yeah, like I was saying, I rewatched the movie. I must have re-listened to the ending several times. And what's weird is because of how dark it was, I saw another movie for the first time ever, another Western that I was going to have Salty Traveling Sea on to talk about it with, but he wasn't able to make it, last week was The Searchers with John Wayne.
Oh,
yes.
And
movie.
honestly, I didn't like it as much as I was hoping it would. So maybe I was expecting it to be too dark or something. It was dark, but it was. What's funny is the beginning of the movie when they get back to the homestead and they find the homestead burning. I thought of a certain movie. Baron. I thought of a certain movie in a desert. Yeah. Has it been confirmed that Lucas kind of got the idea from The Searchers?
I don't know if it has or not. I wouldn't be surprised because again, everyone's want to fixate on Dune. They want to fixate on all this other stuff, but they always seem to want to forget the cowboy westerns.
Yes,
a lot was out of there, so I wouldn't doubt that there was some inspiration that came from that. And of course, the spaghetti westerns.
Westerns in the samurai era, right?
Yeah, in the samurai. I mean, he grabbed from everything and mixed it in there. So.
I know like the Star Wars theme in particular that John Williams did was basically a theme from another movie from the 50s. I think I forget which movie it was. I heard that it was basically almost a ripoff of that. So I don't know. I'll have to find out what it is.
I don't know about that.
But I'll be honest. I really liked the first half of The Searchers. The second half, I didn't like nearly as much. I didn't like the. So this is my issue I have with another book series I've been covering, The Wheel of Time. So The Wheel of Time is an epic fantasy series about basically the main character is the prophesied one that's going to lead in the battle, the end of the battle for the battle that's gonna determine the fate of humanity. It's like the Ragnarok, or it's the end of the world, the last battle from Revelation type of deal. The problem is that story kind of gets set aside. The main story gets set aside so that they can have, a wholesome. And I mean, a lot of people like this. I just find it annoying. You have these insufferable female characters that are just like they're just getting mad at the male characters no matter what they do because they're always wrong. Because I guess I mean, yes, it's a real thing, but it just gets annoying, and that's something Wheel of Time does too much of. Having these insufferable characters, and we have that in The Searchers in Vera Miles, and I wouldn't be surprised if author Robert Jordan kind of took some ideas from The Searchers to create some of his female characters in The Wheel of Time, like Nynaeve and Egwene. Because especially with the braided hair and the very old school style, like women are like like this, and they're tough, and then they speak down to the men all the time. I don't know. I just found that part of the movie annoying, especially with Jeffrey Hunter's character. Jeffrey Hunter's character reminded me of some of the male protagonists in The Wheel of Time, and Vera Miles reminded me of the insufferable female characters in The Wheel of Time. So, and I felt like the main story of finding the girl that was abducted. I didn't even realize it was 5 years. Like I wish I would have felt it was a 5-year gap. But I didn't really like how it ended. I didn't feel satisfied with the ending. It just the ending happened really quickly, and yeah. So I would have been okay. What's up?
Have you been talking to my wife? She said that the other day too.
What?
But the ending was unsatisfactory.
Well, Baron.
What?
You'll have to excuse him, Brian.
He's just sometimes
he knows me. That's why I haven't been back on the show. He knows me.
But like honestly, like there were some. I mean, like the scene that leads into the kidnapping, where the tone changes, the lighting gets very red. And the writing there was masterclass. Like it doesn't point out, like he doesn't. The husband's like, he takes the gun, he just grabs the gun, and right away the wife knew that there was a problem, but she didn't say anything, and he just says, I'm going to go get some additional meat or something. So she knew there was a problem. The kids were kind of the kids were kind of like aloof, but when the older girl figures out, she screams, and that was the one time you felt emotionally, like you felt like there was some stakes, like there was something big going on. So that was a great scene. So I don't think The Searchers was a bad movie. I think it was a good movie. And then probably the best scene, probably one of the best acted scenes I've ever seen, was John Wayne, without going into specific details, telling the audience the fate of the elder daughter, the one that screamed in the wedge, because her fiance went with him and Jeffrey Hunter, and he's like, I saw her, she's there, she's in the encampment. He's like, you did not see her. And then he goes into what he discovered, and he's like, I will not describe what I saw. And I thought it was one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It was a master class in acting and writing. And that's what I want. I don't want to see, like a lot of people think that the reason why House of the Dragon was bad is because there was lack of action. It wasn't just that. It was just, it fails in writing and it fails in acting. Like the actors seem like they're reading off of a script, and then the script itself feels like it's just like talking points instead of, real dialogue. Like I'm not getting the feel of real characters, acting like real characters or like real people.
Well,
like I think the characters to feel like they have a life to them, not just be one dimensional.
Yeah. And they don't keep repeating the talking points. They don't keep repeating the same things that they do in every episode, which was a weakness of season 1 as well, especially with the character of Rhaenyra.
Well, and that's, of course, the problem with the Emmerich-based stuff that we've been getting. It's all about action, explosions, and mindless dribble. It's like, how do we deal with human interaction now? And sometimes that is some of the most important thing. Like the book Dune. You never have the battles. They don't write about the battles. They talk about the aftermath of the battles, really.
Yes.
But so you get it from that. But the interplay is the drama amongst the characters. Yes. And I have not read any Wheel of Time books. I've always been intimidated too because there's just so many of them.
There's 14.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, when I was a girl, I was kind of seen back, in the late 90s. She sat back, and I can't remember how many books were out at that time. But she was sitting back, my God, this is getting to be too long for me. I'm thinking about stopping reading it. It's like, not that it was bad or anything. It was just so many of them.
The author himself passed away before he could finish it. And that's kind of where a lot of the anxiety behind George R. R. Martin comes from. And he started getting a lot of crap for taking his time with Dance with Dragons back as early as 2009. He left a note saying to my detractors, he's like, I don't owe you a darn thing. Just like what's his name? Can't think of that one British writer's name. The one that says George R. R. Martin's not your bitch. I can't think of his name right now.
Not Neil Gaiman, is it?
Neil Gaiman. Yeah, Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could be a twat.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, I'm with Neurotic on this because he said this multiple times. When you make a series, you are basically making a contract. It's an unwritten contract, but you're making a contract saying, hey, I have a story, I have a segment of the story, but I plan to finish it. There's going to be more. Right. And I pledge this without pledging.
Exactly. I've been seeing the same thing too. It's like if you tell people that, I have this other book, I'm so close to finishing, I'm at this point, and then it sits back and goes, well, I owe you nothing. What do you mean? You've been dragging us along all this time, and you're going to get that attitude? It's not us being pissy, it's you.
Well, that's the same thing that happened a number of years ago with Anna Sarkeesian, and that whole series she was supposed to. People paid for it. She never finished it. Then she wants to say that they were sending these hateful and death threats and all this kind of nonsense. It's like, but you promised that you were going to finish this series that people gave you money for.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, honestly, like even, Robert Jordan, writer of Wheel of Time, he passed away a couple of years after he finished book 11, Knife of Dreams. Right. even his death did not keep book 12 as long as George R. R. Martin has kept book 6 of Song of Ice and Fire. It's been 13 years. Like, it's been like kids born that year are teenagers now. It's been 13 years since the 5th book came out, and there has been no word on a publication for Winds of Winter. I mean, 2 years after Jordan died, his wife Harriet was also his editor. Worked with the publishing company to find an author that could finish it. And they found Brandon Sanderson. She read Mistborn, which is one of his books that he had published at the time. She read it. She thought it was a great fit. He had an interview with him, and asked him if he wanted to finish the series. And he thought about it. He's like, this would be a great way to get my name known out there. I'm not as well known. And, he'd be doing a service by giving fans, he was a fan himself, but giving other fans, a closure to this series, that Robert Jordan himself could not do. So, they got something that they didn't have any right to have, basically. Usually when an author dies, that's usually it. The series stays, the series stays incomplete as it is. That was the culmination of that particular person's life work. So, and that's where it seems to be going with Song of Ice and Fire. So,
Well, yeah, unfortunately, time ran out for Jordan. He was intending to do it. The clock is still there for Martin, but he's just you're going around singing floppy wieners around his Santa Fe estate.
Yeah, I actually visited his Jean Cocteau cinema back in 2019. Very nice place, but very tiny. It's a very tiny place, and there's a railroad right there. He bought like a railroad car or something over there too, right in the corner of his theater. So I honestly, I don't know, like it should have been done. I'm taking book 6 really tough to write. You're trying to write Daenerys, coming to Westeros, and you're trying to write, like he has the hardest time writing Bran Stark and the White Walkers and the dark magical, blood magical aspect of the series, and plus the fact that it was originally supposed to be a 5-year gap. So there was probably going to be some adult things happening to the kids now that they're older. But the fact that he had to abandon that, and the kids are still kids, he's had to rethink some other ideas, and I don't think he's been having a hard time with that. So I think that's another issue. So I think it's logistical, and I think there's some ideas that he's probably put out there, and then he scrapped. So, and I think that's part of why the book has taken so long. And then plus, I don't think he's been working on it nearly as much as he says he is. So
no, he's not.
That's a lot. That's what most people think that. I wanted to not believe that, but I'm starting to believe that now. That he tries to do it for maybe half an hour. He tries to write something, doesn't think of anything, and then he just puts it aside and does something else. Like call HBO and say, "Hey, I got another idea for a show," and then they're like, "Oh, great! Send us an outline or send us a treatment," and then he takes a month writing the treatment, basically.
Well, what happens is he starts plugging a couple words in, and he starts humming "floppy wieners, floppy wieners," and that's it. He's gone for the rest of the day. He's prancing around the house, singing
naked, just like in the Conan O'Brien show. He has a trampoline.
Yep.
Or he thinks he has an idea, but he decides to roll. He rolls down the hill. I'll be honest. I actually like that Conan O'Brien segment of what George R. R. Martin does in his house.
Yeah, that was funny.
So
very funny stuff.
But I think it was Stephen Colbert where he actually had Martin on. Martin was actually writing something so that you could see his screen and all that. I was just like, how did they get him to agree to that? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like he's literally sitting down like this. He has his computer. You could see his screen. You can kind of see what's on his screen. Word, I forgot what word processor uses. It's old WordStar. He has WordStar on, black screen, and you could see some of the words on it. And he's typing. It's a very, very brief thing. He's just like, why? He's like looking at the camera. He's like, why did I agree? Why did I agree to this? And that's it. So, I don't know.
Here I thought it might have been hentai on there or something.
I'm sure people
before we start wrapping up here, Brian, is there anything you'd like to promote for your channel?
I mean,
Any final thoughts?
yeah, I mean, I'm grateful. The channel. I mean, I haven't done much lately, like I said earlier. I'm really grateful for. I'm really grateful for viewers, for the members, for the people that go out of their way to watch my content. Some of it's long. I mean, and I feel like I still feel like I feel like I could definitely improve. But I'm just grateful for I'm grateful for the communities involved, the people I was able to meet and network. It's one thing that I really enjoy the most is building relationships with channels and everything. And there's been a very I try my best. I try my best to be as good of a host as I can whenever I do a stream, a tutorial. I've had to make some. I've had to make some rules myself, Mike. So you're not the only one. I've had to lay in some ground rules myself. Because sometimes people like to talk over me. I'm the host. You can't talk over me. I'm sorry. And there were times where I've had to.
You're trying to set the course for the show.
I've had to put the kibosh on a few things. And luckily, I managed. So there was a point where I got mad at a particular panelist, and the way I did it, I feel was wrong because I did it live. I got mad live. I just reacted to it, and then the panelist felt humiliated, and he ended up just leaving and all that. But I did what I did was I mended that relationship. Kind of, I said I regret that I did it the way I did, but I feel that what you're doing is something that I should be doing, and all that. So so I managed to repair that relationship, and then there's a few other people that like to talk over me because I tend to be let people talk, but there are points where I'm just like, dude, come on. So, but other than that, I've had to, but there has to be. So, Mike, I'm totally with you about having some ground rules when you have people on, certain people on, and all that. So, just for the sake of your own sanity and your own dignity as well, and I mean, remember, this is your thing. I mean, I'm grateful that I'm on your show right now. Basically, I've had a blast. I mean, I don't always have a blast when I'm on other people's shows because usually I'm on with so many other people, and it becomes like a who's gonna talk over who type of deal.
Yeah,
and it gets to a point where it gets exhausting, and for me, it gets boring. And so a lot of times when I'm in that type of situation, I check out really early, and then I'm like, I have nothing else to say. My brain is already fried at that point, and I just say, hey, I gotta go. Thanks for having me. Blah blah blah. So
yeah.
I like to have.
And you've been on some editions of Pop Talk where I've had more than what we have now, and we are talking over each other. Nobody's been able to get a word in edgewise, and that's been one of the flaws of Pop Talk. I'll admit it. Is when there are too many panelists.
Yeah, and I've tried to, and I've had I've gotten good advice from a lot of people, and I've tried to limit. I usually like to do the one-on-one, but sometimes I'll have 3 people on. I've Wheel of Time book club streams. I've had 5 or 6 people, but I've always made sure that we didn't talk over each other. Sometimes I'm at the point now where if somebody's talking, somebody interrupts them, I'll be like, hey, let this person finish, and then you could go next. I mean, I don't want to. I don't like to be too rigid because I want people just to be themselves. But sometimes structure is a good thing, and I mean, this is an ongoing thing. I'm learning ongoing. Basically, the more I do these things, and it's just like it's a wonderful thing. And the video content, I keep promising I'm going to make more. I've been thinking of some ideas because I've been playing some Elden Ring, and I've been already comparing it to Zelda in my head, and stuff. So maybe that might be an idea for a video, or maybe I'll talk about The Great Silence. Maybe I'll actually do a short video retrospective on that one. Spoilers, of course, just how it made me feel at the end, like stuff like that I like to cover. But at the same time, it's been a few years. I'm still trying to find that identity of what what people are, why would people come back to my channel? What's the reason to come back to my channel? You have your political commentators that react to bad takes that people say on social media. You have people reacting to bad takes or bad or stupid ideas that get revealed through video game announcements and all that, the sweet baby stuff. You got people like my buddy Prophet, who is who basically covers news on the Wheel of Time series, and he started his channel to kind of speak out about it because it's such a it's so different. It's like eviscerating the story, the original story, which had some great moments, some great things that should have been adapted, that should have been part of the series that was not adapted. It was disregarded. It's like imagine if Peter Jackson disregarded everything that Tolkien did in his Lord of the Rings books. Imagine if there was no Helm's Deep battle, or there was no Rivendell, Council of Elrond. They skipped all that. They skipped, Gandalf being, they skipped Gandalf, falling into the pit and all that. I mean, that's basically what the Wheel of Time series is. And Prophet is basically pointing it out. And he's met a lot of people, that have, similarly, been detracting that show. And I got to meet him through one person, and I met his friends through him. So I mean, it's been a long, ongoing network and meeting people, and I've been an introduction of people to other people. So I mean, I'm just grateful to be part of this. I mean, that's the thing I like the most. So yeah, sorry for that long-winded response.
No. It's perfectly fine. Because I was going to say the only stream I have coming up where there are going to be more than what we have now on the panel is the Transformers stream. But with that, I want to hear everyone else's take on what that franchise has meant to everybody. Not so much my point of view, everyone else's. And, when it comes to Prophet of the Dragon, you two have a great dynamic together. I've seen it. I've been a part of it.
Yeah, it's like the people that I feel I have a good chemistry with, a good I mean, I consider him a friend, even though I've only met him twice in person. I've talked to him. I talk to him like almost once or twice a week. Kind of it's been a good thing, and I've been really enjoying because I mean, I myself have lost friends, real life friends here because of a lot of the political stuff, and because of that, and people moving and stuff. So another thing is, it's been a good thing to kind of I mean, it fills in that friendship. I mean, there's still drawbacks to long distance relationships, but with the internet, and when just thinking of doing a live stream or just doing a collaboration would be just a great way to try and see if you can get something to work, and build a group around that, and still there's the NEI, the Nerdporeal inclusive clause. Well, I like to talk to people that I feel have a genuine take, and that someone is willing to have a conversation, and that they're willing to hear criticism of something that they like, or even criticism of themselves. Now, I'm not willing to go as far, go beyond that boundary of criticizing the person, but maybe criticizing maybe a single take or something, and hearing them out or something, or hearing me out, having conversation, which is something a lot of people do not seem to know how to do.
Yeah, having a form of discourse.
Yes. And that's who I'm very particular about who I choose to do stuff with. So that's why that's why I've not invited other Star Trek channels to do stuff, because I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with current Star Trek fans. Yeah. And I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells with anybody. If I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with anybody, I'm not going to do anything with you. That's just how it is.
Yeah, you don't want to have a powder cake situation occur on a stream.
Yeah,
because someone may not share your point of view when it comes to either current Star Trek or Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see, but I think I might do this. I haven't really made up my mind yet, but later on, I was thinking, I finally got this game I don't know if you guys know this, but the NES World Championships came out.
Yes, I've seen it.
So
I
I was watching Steve Profit playing it when I met up with him, and this actually looks like a lot of fun. It's basically like mini games, and you could actually connect to the internet and play against people like back in the day. But I might stream this tonight. I haven't made up my mind because House of the Dragon's over with. I got nothing to do tonight, so that's a beautiful thing.
Wow!
And I feel free on that show. That's how wonderful it is to feel right now. So.
And I saw Angry Canadian's video where he unboxed both the Japanese version and the North American version.
Angry Canadian.
What you get.
Who is that? I don't think he exists. I don't know the AC. I don't think he exists.
AC, he doesn't mean that.
No, AC, me and AC have a wonderful relationship. We tease each other. I try to tease him, and he teases me back, and I end up losing because of that. But that's just me. I do want to eventually go to Japan, meet a whole bunch of people there, and I know he's one of them. So yeah, definitely like that. So, but yeah, I saw his thing too. So yeah.
I'm sure you want to go over there because you want to be taller than everybody else. That's what you really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, if only. Well, I'm not short either. I'm average height. So it was funny. I meet a whole bunch of people. I'm like, Jesus, how am I shorter than everybody else? I'm not short. So I don't know. It's just me.
I am.
And anything else?
I'm 5'3".
You're 5'3"?
Yeah, I'm 5'3".
Okay, I'm
don't believe him.
Okay, don't.
Have you ever? You never seen me in person, Mike? How you know I'm not 5'3"?
You're not 5'3".
I represent.
I'm not fine.
Lollipop Guild. I represent the Lollipop Guild. If that's not proof right there, I don't know what is.
Nono Mas says Baron is a hobbit. Excuse my reading the comment.
It's all right.
Well, it's not a Mas. We don't care.
Yeah. Well,
it's all about you today.
On record, I'm 5'8". I'm average height.
On record, I'm 5'10".
Bitch. Sorry. Excuse my language.
That's it. You're not back anymore. Any bridge there might have been, you destroyed it. Yeah, that's it. Out of here. I'm 5'10" and a half, so there. Nah.
Oh, okay. So he's half an inch above me. Well, of course, Cash is probably the tallest out of all of us at 7 foot 4 inches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 7'4".
Just about 6'3", 6'4". That's all.
Cash, could you reach that for us?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why he gets called away all the time.
I'm 5'9" with shoes on. 5'9" and a half with shoes on. There you go.
Yep.
Oh, when I put my shoes on, I'm about 6'3". I got those platform ones. I'm really
three. You got the 3-inch platforms. There you go.
I hate it.
Are there fish? Are there fish swimming in those platforms?
No, squid.
Transparent
fish.
Oh, squid. Right. Squid. Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, sure. He's blaming shrinkage. I'm sure that's not the first time he's blamed shrinkage on something.
So do you have anything else you'd like to promote? Anyone else that you'd like to promote before we move on to Cash for Baron?
Yeah, I do want to promote. I did something I never did before, and I feel bad about it. So I was supposed to be on Friday night with Nerdy Neo. I met him through the Geeks and Gamers community. He's a big video game fan. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a big Metroidvania fan. He does weekly podcasts. I was supposed to be on with him on Friday, but I have this weird sleep schedule where I usually go to sleep or I take a nap at the when I come home from work, and I slept in. I didn't bother to put the alarm up, and I missed the stream. I woke up 40 minutes late, so it was supposed to be 8 p.m. Central. I woke up late, and the only way I talked to him is through the Discord DM. I don't think he's on Twitter or X much, so I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, man. We can still do this if you want to. I mean, we're still within that time. And it's just like, no, I found other things to do. So I feel really bad about it. I must apologize at least 4 times because that's the type of person I am. I just try to hold myself accountable, and I want to build. I mean, a lot of people are not going to say how they feel. I mean, I'm not saying what I mean. Nerdy Neo's like, okay, it's okay, don't worry about it. But at the same time, I mean, some people say things to be polite, but I think he was obviously upset that I did that. So I want to just say, everybody subscribe to Nerdy Neo and definitely check out his weekly open mics that he does. That was what I was supposed to be on Friday, and he does he does, I think he does some Saturday streams where he brings a whole bunch of people on. They talk about not accomplishments. Was it trophies? I forget what they call it in PlayStation or Xbox. I forget what they call them. Where you where you accomplish something
Trophies.
in the game.
Yeah, the achievements.
Achievements. They call it achievement hunting and all that. So they have a means of finding old games. Like there's a thing where there's a platform where you can play old games and they have achievements. Like you play like Super Mario Brothers or older games, that predates the achievement thing, and you could do that. Older games, so they do have that. So yeah, so this is me shamelessly shilling for Nerdy Neo's channel. Definitely check him out. Yeah, I still feel bad. I'm sorry, bro. I know you're not going to watch this, but hey, or maybe you will. Who knows? I'll tag him. I'll tag him. Showing him. So, but yeah, I definitely want to do definitely want to do one, and I definitely want to do another one with you. And please take me back. Please take me back. That's it. That's all I got. So videos. I'm going to have a Chilporial hopefully this week with Miss Mar Muses. And maybe Salty, maybe we'll get around to me and Salty talking about the searchers. But me and Miss Mar Muses are going to talk about on Thursday. We're going to be talking about House of the Dragon and fantasy. So definitely check that out. She's the lore expert. She's awesome, and I'm happy to have her. So definitely want to do more Chilporials, with different people down the road. So maybe a Baron. Or a person that identifies as a piece of cash might want to be on the show. So
okay,
just thinking.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So
snaps.
I had a great time. This was a lot of fun. You guys were awesome, and we didn't talk over each. There's 4 of us, and we didn't talk over each other. And you know what? That's a hell of an accomplishment. Thanks, Mike, for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome, and that's my goal whenever I have a guest on Pop Talk, is to make sure that they're comfortable, to make sure that they have a good time. And I also like to double check with my guests, depending on when I've asked them, that they're still available to come on, because you know how it is, things come up. And
yep, I'm in the same boat. I've had to. There was one particular person that I couldn't really work things out. I said, hey, let's do something and let's talk about Game of Thrones, and he was like, sure. I mean, this was way down the line. This is weeks down the line. And by the time we got closer, he's like, I'll let you know when it gets closer. And he's like, I might be able to do it, I might not. And by the time the day of came, it was like, can't do it. And I was like, you want to do it again, or do you want to reschedule? And I never got a response back. So Mike, I'm with you on doing that. Yep. So even though I might give you a snarky response, like, yeah, I confirmed it. It's me, but I get why.
Who?
Well, to be honest with everybody, I'm always grateful for the fact that in the early days of both our channels, you were always there supporting the channel, telling people to subscribe to Pacific414, and I was doing the same thing, and I still do the same thing. Even if I can't show up at your live stream, if I see that you've tagged me in something, I'll try to repost it so people know that you're going live. You're talking about House of the Dragon. You're doing your Nerdporeal Halloween, the serial sessions, talking about a horror movie that somebody might like, or maybe you and someone else like, and you want to talk about it. I do keep an eye on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been meaning to do more of those type. I haven't done a whole bunch of those type of things, especially normal movies. So yeah, it's just something I feel like I could try to get into again. I've been grateful to get the people that I've been able to get to do these things with. So I mean, it's just it's like the one thing that I'm not Eric O'Sullivan. I mean, Eric O'Sullivan is a much better looking guy than me, but Eric O'Sullivan always says, he does his 8 things of gratitude every morning. He's grateful for his family. He's grateful for his friends. But I think he's also grateful for his channel. He's grateful for the people that listen to him, and that's how I am too. And that's the type of mindset I want to keep having, is just having humility and having gratitude. And I think, and this goes even beyond that. I first heard Neurotic talking about that type of thing because he was an addict, and addicts have to go through that type of ordeal where they have to have a gratitude list. So, I mean, you think you have it bad, but if you have a gratitude list, you'll start seeing things differently. Your mindset will adjust because of that.
Because there's one thing I've learned in the almost 5 years of doing this, and that one thing is nobody's ever obligated to come by your stream, watch your video, give you a like, give you any kind of interaction.
Nope.
But be appreciative of those who do take the time to stop by, even if it's just for a few minutes, and say hello. Acknowledge them. I'll admit, I've missed some people as I'm streaming, especially during a game when it's an intense section of the game where you're battling a boss and you can't really take your eye off the screen that long, because if you do, then your character's in deep shit. But I do try to acknowledge all who come into the chat and have a conversation with them. You do it too.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's always what I love to see, and I wish I did this. I wish I had this more often. I like to see newcomers. I like to see people you never see before. It just brings new excitement, new exhilaration, because then you're like, okay, maybe what I'm doing is working after all. So I mean, who knows? But it's always cool to see a new face and everything. So.
And real quick, before we move on to Baron and Cash, I do see that we have a member chat here, so let me go ahead and acknowledge that.
What? Wow.
And let's see. You know what? I know this isn't exactly the member chat video, but I'm going to play it anyway.
All right, put the money in the bag. I'll buy that for $1.
What's
I never saw the former. Was that SpongeBob? Put that money in the bag. That was great.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. I love it every time. Put the money in the bag.
Baron found that, said, do you want to use that? I said, yes, I do.
It's fantastic.
But Anonymous says, I like you, fellas. And Baron, too, I guess.
Wow, I get a lot of love, don't I?
Yeah, well,
Baron's a complicated person. You gotta, Baron's a complicated person. That's all it is.
I'm an onion. I got layers.
He's got layers. Exactly.
Liars?
That's you.
He's got layers.
I've never lied. I just stretched the truth down. Maybe a fib, and possibly an interesting story, but not lie.
Well. Speaking of layers or liars or interesting stories or whatever he wants to twist them to, Baron, what do you got coming up?
The cake is a lie. And other than that, I'm hanging with you guys, both of you, for our little endeavors. And that's the only thing I can really say. Other than that, I'm boring. I've been neglecting my channel too, just longer than Brian has with his. So, but I hope to change that real soon. And I think I'm getting a step closer to doing online gaming. Stay tuned. You never know what exciting things come from the Baron Orman Tags fandom legacy. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Cash, what is coming up on the Phantom Hooligans?
Oh, that was interesting, Cash. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cash.
Oh my God! You know what, Baron? Oh, where'd he go? Oh, that's weird. All right. So coming up on the Phantom Hooligans is next Friday. we're gonna be Baron and I and Mike are gonna be busting ghosts in Ghostbusters. 2 weeks ago, I had a power outage, so it killed my stream. That was a lot of fun. And then, of course, this week we were on Brandon's show, so we're like, no, we're not gonna. We don't need to do yet another stream. and yeah, it's because it was going to be so early for all of us, earliest for me, which is fine. But it was a lot of fun on yesterday, and yeah, so Friday, just in a few days, we'll be back to actually fighting ghosts, and we're gonna get some achievements done, and we're gonna have good old Philly boy in there telling us that we're Team Epic Fail when we're not. But he whatever makes him happy. Hopefully he'll get his pudding, but as he says, he's got to eat his dinner first. So, so yeah, that's coming up, and then it's about time. I was stalling on this for a while, but I'm gonna play another Crab's Treasure. I think it's called. I think that's what it's called.
That's what you always tell us every freaking week.
No, this has not been every freak. I stopped saying it for a while, but yeah, another Crab's Treasure. So basically, this is like SpongeBob meets Dark Souls. It's not forgiving, that's for sure.
You hear that, ladies? You hear that, ladies? Cash ass crabs.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's coming up, and then I was holding off for a while on doing my review of Inside Out 2 because I do agree with Phil and some other people that so many people have done the review already, so I'm gonna hold it and check it out. So, I'll wrap it up for you, Anonymous, you nutcase. Yeah. So there's definitely some cool things coming up on the Phantom Hooligans, and then Baron and I are working on some more Rumble exclusive stuff, and so hopefully, what was it? Probably this time next Tuesday, we got to work on some stuff. I guess tomorrow, Baron, on that. So you'll be around.
Tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be around.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we usually am around. That's my body shape.
That's right. We just found out that even though Rumble, I still look at it as a backup, we have a lot more freedom of speech, and I like that. So that's very nice. So I'm gonna build up that Rumble channel a bit, and then, like I said, just more topics are coming up. I'm thinking about still doing a video about making fun of PC Gamer because they cannot stop embarrassing themselves, just like IGN, Kotaku.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I miss. I mean, I don't know how the magazines were back in the day and your Nintendo Powers and all that, but I miss that.
Yeah,
I can't stand
because they
video
were
game
gamers,
journalism
man.
now. Yeah.
No, you can. There was also an article from Fandom Pulse, which I don't even know what's happened to them. They haven't done anything recently, but they had an article about why they think what has happened to gaming journalism and who the people they started hiring and these activists. It's a very interesting, opinionated article. I will say that.
I always attributed IGN situation because they're in California.
Yeah,
and California is basically to use Elden Ring terminology, it's scarlet rot. Like it scarlet rots the brain, basically.
Yep. There's certain parts of it that are nice, and then there's other parts of it that are just an absolute dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
And guess where Cash lives? Dumpster.
Close to it, but not exactly. We actually still have police officers out here that care. I know the hell you say, but
what?
I know, man. It's crazy. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up on the Phantom Hooligans, and it's just been also nice learning recently how to make videos taking the other stuff from either with the Star Wars Outlaws and then finding articles and then putting those together. And even Angry Canadian gave me some ideas about making videos because he's been doing it a lot longer. So yeah.
Who?
Yeah, that's right. I know.
Subscribe to Angry Canadian.
Yes, Angry's a good dude.
Eh?
Yep. But yeah, that's all that's coming up right now in the Phantom Hooligans.
And as far as what's coming up on Pacific 414, this will be on the YouTube side and Rumble side for this week. Starting on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, I will resume Metroid Prime Remastered. I was
Ooh.
playing it last night and my controller died on me.
Oh no. That I am. This is your first playthrough, right? This is your first play, dude.
Yeah.
I am jealous that you like this. The game is a treat. It is one of my top 10. It's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, these are. Yeah. That's why I'm so glad we're finally going to get a 4.
Yes. Oh man, when I reacted live to with AC to that. Oh man, I'm so excited for Prime 4.
Yeah, I mean, it literally died on me. I wasn't getting any response. I plugged it in. I waited a few moments.
No.
Turned it on, and still nothing. So I have to get a new controller tomorrow. And
how far are you? I'm curious. How far are you? Did you get to? Did you beat the rock boss yet?
Yes, I have beaten the rock boss.
Okay, so you got to the phase on. You got to the phase on mines. All right.
Yeah, I'm getting to the phase on mines. I have to get the next upgrade that I need for the suit for when I'm in water, so I can jump a little higher. And
the gravity suit. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you? Are you still finding yourself going in circles, or you feel you're getting better about that?
Yeah, I am still going in circles. I'm not gonna. So
I think that happens with everybody, if I remember correctly, because there's some of those places that just look the same.
I mean, the game's not. I mean, the game's not too bad. Like if you're wandering for a certain amount of time, the game will prompt you saying, "Hey, there's an unexplained transmission here."
That's true.
So I mean, it doesn't tell you exactly how to get there because plus it's a 3D map, which I think is freaking awesome. But it doesn't tell you exactly how to get there. But it's good. It's what I like about it is you still have to figure out how to traverse the area, and you have to keep your eyes open for morph ball holes or doors that might be in these corners that you don't see and everything. It's the game is an exploration masterpiece in my opinion, and I don't think I have not seen a whole lot of 3D games, especially first person games, that do that type of exploration. Like I haven't seen that or even 3D Zelda be replicated the way it is now. 2D stuff, 2D Metroid and 2D Zelda has been replicated to death.
Yeah, true. And I think that's one of the things that even now going into part 9 of the streams that I'm still trying to get used to is playing Metroid in a 3D environment instead of the 2D environment.
Well, just be happy you didn't play the what was the one on 3DS with the controls? It's brutal.
Oh, Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yes.
I haven't played that one either, but I heard it was. I heard the controls were atrocious.
Fun, but the controls are just like, wow,
yeah,
this is torture.
Did you? How did you feel about the Wii controls for Metroid Prime? They had Prime 3, and then they released the Prime trilogy. A lot of people didn't like it at first. I didn't like it at first, but I grew accustomed to it, and I ended up liking it.
I ended up getting those Wii games actually on the Wii U, so I was using the controller thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have to use the Wii remote to aim at the screen, the shooter, and all that.
I used the Wii remote at a friend's house when they had the Wii, but yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You went Wii at a friend's house, cool, and you controlled it even better. Gotta aim right.
Baron,
gotta aim right. What?
Baron, you know what? Shut up. No, but yeah, that's pretty good, Baron. I'll give you a little credit for that.
And then Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm gonna make you all an offer you can't refuse.
Sopranos, nice.
We're gonna end up watching The Godfather at 6
Part
p.m.
3.
Wednesday.
Wait, that's a real movie? I thought that was a movie within The Sopranos. So that's a real movie? Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's a real movie. But yes. I know it's 3 hours. I know it's 3 hours, folks. I know, but it's a very good movie.
It's actually 2 hours and 50 minutes, I think. The first one. The second one's over 3 hours.
But
that reminds me, I had the 50th anniversary edition. I still have not opened it up and played the 4K. I still haven't watched it. I still haven't watched the 4K transfers yet. So,
well, if you ever do, let me know how they look.
Like I have it on top of my shelf. It's literally like as big as a coffee table book. Like you can't add it to your collection, so I had to put it somewhere. So I put it on top. So I hate it when I mean I hate it when they do that. They don't tell you it's like the size of a coffee table, basically. The Blu-rays, the physical media. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys, any of you guys own stuff like that? Like I have the Godzilla Showa era collection that's in the same boat. Like it's like a coffee table book.
I think the last thing I had that was the size of a coffee table book was when I bought the 25th anniversary of the original Transformers G1 animated series, because the one I bought was shaped like the Matrix of Leadership. And not only did you get the DVDs, but you also got some booklet information that told you about certain episodes and how those episodes came about. And
I mean, the collector's edition for like gaming are pretty big. The box for the Witcher 3 collector's edition was pretty massive.
And then on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be back in Arkham playing Batman Arkham City.
Great game.
Oh, I thought you were admitting yourself again.
Okay.
No, that's what I wish I could do to you sometimes.
Yeah, I just took my case off the shelf, man. I have not touched it. That's how dusty this is right now. Got the 50th anniversary right here.
Yep, nice.
Let me go ahead and highlight you.
So I got the 50th anniversary right here. You see, there's still dust.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm allergic to dust too. So that, and then there's like there's a book there's a literal book in here. Excuse me. Sorry, I turned this into an unboxing.
No.
So here's I didn't even know this was part of it. There's a painting of Vito Corleone, basically, as the senator from Nevada mockingly says to in part 2. You got that, and then you got
very cool,
and the paper combining it. So I think there's some artwork. Yeah, there's some artwork. There's script. There's some script right here. Where are the discs? Here's a disc. Here's a disc right here. So
that's the only one you get.
And here's some more discs right here. So here you go. Yeah. So
nice.
What did I do to deserve this disrespect? You don't even call me Nerdporeal.
Ooh.
But when you become my ally, your enemies become my enemies, and then they will fear you. So act like a man. There you go. All right. There's my There's my Vito Corleone impression. All right. Thanks. Sorry, I turned this into an unboxing stream. Sorry, Mike.
No, it's fine. It just got my gears started thinking, maybe the Nerdporeal would like to be part of the next collector stream.
Oh, collector stream? You got those?
I do have those.
He's done a few, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've done a few, but like I've told Baron and Cash, I want to keep those, to a once a year type of deal.
No.
Yeah, whatever your theme is, let me know, and I'll see if I can, be a good contributor to it.
Typically, I just invite guests to show off their collections. It doesn't matter if it's related to The Godfather in this case, or related to Lord of the Rings. It's just basically a show and tell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, sounds like fun.
So far, they've been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like I'm like Tim Walz. I just snitch.
Oh man,
what are we gonna do with him? Seriously, what are we gonna do with him?
Send him to Minnesota.
I already am.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Send him to a mostly peaceful event.
We could do that.
I led a few of those.
But before we do officially wrap it up here, I do want to thank Leia Rose for popping in and saying hello to all of us on all 3 channels. Also, Baron was here.
I was?
Who? Oh,
yes.
Baron, yeah. He was here.
Mm-hmm.
Also want to thank Anonymous. And I'm going to go ahead and play that.
Anonymous. Anonymous.
Anonymous.
And happy birthday, Clobby, wherever you may be.
Yes.
Yeah. Memory eternal.
Yes. May he rest in peace. I also want to thank the Snortopoozus Cuber. Good to see you, Snorty. Everyone's favorite polar bear. Just make sure that Punk Waddle and Low Spec stay away from him. Also, Brandon Looney Tunes Fan 2000, thank you very much for stopping by. DJ Ronnie G. Phil McCracken. Being Phil. What else is new?
How dare you, Nerdporeal? What did I say? I don't know what I was reacting to.
He says, I will not stand for having a wannabe Matt Risman. Only
Because of okay. So
okay.
Because I'm bald.
I
see how it is.
Yeah.
And he claims that he's not.
Yeah. Phil doesn't like anybody.
Phil's a nut. It's all right.
Pops, I love Pops.
Yeah, Pops is a great guy. The last stream I was on with him, Ironcaster and Loki was talking about Transformers the movie, and I do see that DJ is going to be on his show this coming Tuesday, so that'll be a good time.
Poor Pops.
I think if I remember correctly, we lost Brian.
Did I do that?
I didn't do it. No, we lost him.
We just lost him, unfortunately.
He got tired of us. That's what happened. That's it. I'm out of here.
What I saw before he left is it started giving that rain of death, and then he was out.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it did.
I was clearing my throat, so I hit the mute button. And when I looked up, I saw him go. It's like, oh, God, I hope I didn't hit the eject button by mistake.
Yeah, he just sent me a message, internet cut off.
Oh.
So as soon as I can get him in here, because it wasn't recognizing his camera for some reason.
Yes,
that's all right, brother.
About that, sometimes my because I have a little adapter right here. So I attempted to fix I attempted to open up my laptop and clean it out with air thing, and for some reason my internet card in my computer got damaged. So I'm stuck with this little adapter, this USB adapter, and it does that every now and then. So my bad on that. So, I'm going to get a new computer now that I'm working again. I'm going to get a new. I'm going to try and get a desktop, and go
good.
All in. I'm going to go all in. We're going to go all in with the gaming and the editing and everything. So, the best of the best.
Like Mike and I did.
Yeah. As Rob Burnett says, the best of the best about Picard season 3. Yeah, sorry, I had to bring that up.
His take on
that.
All
right.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, I played that clip in the beginning of every episode of my Picard streams, just to remind everybody that he said all these things about the season. So, oh well.
And I also want to say thank you to Debsy for stopping by and supporting us today. It's good to see you, Debsy. It's been a while, and who knows, I might be hitting you up to see if you'd like to be a future guest of Pop Talk.
Yeah, he'd be definitely if you cover music, like he's been making music for. He makes a lot of good music. He did music for one of my Metroid videos. So definitely give him a follow. He has his own channel. He shows some mixes and samples and stuff. Definitely, and he's a regular on Ryan Rogers' reality based stream. So
very nice. And also the Padawannabe. Good to see you, brother. And
I know he does a lot of Lego stuff. So him and AC do a lot of regular regular Lego stuff. So definitely check him out if you like Legos. Sorry, Mike.
No. That's fine. That's fine.
Lego Legos.
And Nosferatu, the vampire. Good to see you, Nos. Good to see you. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, he calls me Godporeal to my annoyance. But hey, that's Nos. Nas lives to Nas lives to challenge our, to challenge us, basically.
No, he's your
challenge our comfort zones, basically.
I mean, I'd say it's been a while, and the reason why I say it's been a while because, with our busy schedules in our personal lives, we can't always stop by streams when we want to. And of course, I do want to thank Anonymous for sending that member chat. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the support everybody gives the Pacific 414 YouTube and Rumble channels. And always remember, everybody, don't ever give up on me in a game, because just when you do, you might miss something. Have a good Sunday, all.
Take care.
Autobots, transform and roll out. Pop Talk is where it's at, baby.
We got through that. Oh, wow. Oh, we're still in the air? Oh, hi, everybody. Remember your piss jug next time, Anomas. The piss jug is always important. Don't ever leave your computer without it.